And welcome. We are live. Hello there, and welcome back to another stream. As you can see in the title, we are building a retired Lego Star Wars set this week, which, let's be honest, the sets we've been building the last couple of weeks are not far off retiring with how late we've been picking them up. But next week, I'm going to announce it now because I haven't got any of the stream stuff ready ahead of time to schedule it to go out with this stream. I'm going to be building a brand new set, specifically the Lego Star Wars Acclamator. Next week we are going to get to building, so hopefully that will run smoothly and I won't have to put that back a week, but I should have all the parts here by then. And I think that's going to be really fun because previously I have built a Venator out of the 2012 playset and I don't own any of the midi scale ships, so this could start a massive snowball effect of me picking up all of the other midi scale ships. Come along next week to find out. But this week we are not going to be starting a goal. I guess I'm going to leave that as, but we do have a brand new member, which you should see at the top of your chat, Kevin. So welcome again, Kevin, to the Master Moldy Members Monolith. That's a really cool name. As the ATST is a retired set, I'm afraid I don't have the box. I don't have the instructions, so I'm going to be getting them up on the computer. If you see me looking off to the side here, my monitor's up with all the instructions on. I should have all of the pieces in these drawers. Only time now can tell. So a bit of Lego ASMR. I'm not sure how much of that my mic even picks up, but because I don't have any bags to go off as well, I think there's like 4 bags meant to be in this set. We've just got a big pile of bricks. In fact, both of these drawers are the pieces for the entire set. I tried to put the smaller pieces in one of the drawers just so I know roughly smaller pieces on the left and bigger pieces on the right. But we also have some good Star Wars news to get into. Nothing too exciting if you don't want to sit through the full thing. But we do have some news around Andor as well, I'm sure. We're probably not going to get anything at Star Wars Celebration considering it starts the weekend before, but you never know. We might get some news about another character popping up or some exclusive take from Star Wars Celebration. Anyway, let's get building into this set and we'll get on to all the news and other bits in as time flies by. Get the right one up. And we're starting off, I thought we didn't have the piece. I do. This plate here. So in regards to Andor, and I suppose last week we talked about Skeleton Crew and other possible shows that Star Wars could be making. I'd love to see some more Lego shows, actually. That's something. We've got a few different specials for Christmas. This is going to be a real pain trying to sift through all this. Perhaps I should have gone through and separated it into bags. That's definitely something I should be doing next time. But we'll start with the Lego specials. What Lego specials would I like to see? All of them. I think Lego specials have such a nice... In Star Wars, a lot of people, myself included, really want to see some what-if content and something like Visions, but a bit more than just someone else's story. We'd like to see what-ifs about the Star Wars story. So you've got what if Anakin didn't turn to the dark side, that sort of thing. And Lego have a few times gone down similar paths, not to Anakin staying a Jedi and not turn into the dark, but with their specials and their stories, giving us a few different scenarios and funny storylines that I would like to see a little bit more of. And I think we could also do with some that aren't Lego focused, some just in Star Wars, what ifs, or funny stories in general. Because a lot of the time Star Wars is quite a serious piece of media. Unless you're watching some of the kids shows, Clone Wars, Rebels, even Young Jedi Adventures is full of a lot of fun. And Skeleton Crew also has a few, very rarely, but there were a few little bits that probably made me laugh throughout that. I just want to see a bit more of that in Star Wars. And I think if we got a show dedicated to just funny, not even dedicated to funny moments, because the Lego tiles and all the specials still get across some serious storylines, but they are just a lot of fun. We definitely need more of that in Star Wars. But I can't wait to tell you, so we'll get straight on. I think that's the wrong color. We'll get straight on to the Andor news, because I saw probably about a week ago now, the Wikipedia page for Andor was updated. We got a little bit of information for it, and it says about, we already knew Andor season 2 was taking place from the end of the first season-ish up until Rogue One. And Rogue One is moments before. I think technically it was advertised as a year before A New Hope, because it's on that crossover point, which should mean because I know A New Hope, Luke is, or maybe it was Rogue one of the twins at the start meant to be like a year younger or something. It was this random point that it was their birthday or something around the time. I can't remember exactly what it is, but Rogue One technically falls like the Christmas of one year, and then A New Hope is the start. I can't really remember exactly what it is, but it's basically on the doorstep of A New Hope, and Andor is meant to lead up to Rogue One, like Rogue One does to A New Hope. They might leave it off like a year before, kind of like the end of Solo, when we see Han go in to find the job with Jabba the Hutt, and then we pick up next, as far as anything but the comics are aware, in A New Hope, with Han and Chewie working for, well, running away from Jabba the Hutt. So it's probably going to do something like that. I don't see it feeding directly into Rogue One the way Rogue One feeds into A New Hope, but I'd love to be surprised. Hello there, Charalampos. I see so many names in the comments, and that's a name I recognize, but I never say it out loud. Charalampos Savidis. Let me know if I am butchering it. I am sorry, but hello there. Welcome to the stream. As for Andor, though, it's covering 4 years between Andor season 1 and Rogue One, and there's 12 episodes. What I thought very, very interesting from Wikipedia was that they mentioned that there's going to be 4 lots of 3 episodes arcs, and that instantly drew me back to the days of Clone Wars and watching each series of the Clone Wars. For people that haven't watched Clone Wars, you should definitely go check it out. They tell stories in arcs, collections of episodes, rather than having the full season. Skeleton Crew was very much the full season told one solid story. Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett have had different episode clusters or solo episodes that have gone off and told a different story. It's a bit like that. For Clone Wars, we had 3 episodes on Cato Nemoidia, and then suddenly we'd switch, maybe even switch the characters we're following, and have the next 3 episodes on somewhere like Felucia, where we're following Kenobi. And then we'd switch to a Plo Koon arc, and we'd be following Plo Koon, and it jumped around a little bit. Obviously, these are going to be centered, I assume, around Andor. Andor season 1 itself did have a Clone Wars was, you know what, probably the best piece of Star Wars media to date. I think it definitely holds up. It's not like when people say the original trilogy was great because of the time and how it's aged. I think Clone Wars, with all that it covered, being a show that went on not only for 6 seasons, but then to return for the 7th season, definitely got a lot accomplished. But with Andor, because we've got the centered Andor character, I mean, season 1 jumped with Luthen, with Saw. Saw was kind of in the Luthen arc, and again, Mon Mothma. We did get a bit about Mon Mothma, but that was just to explain a bit more on the Luthen side of things as well, because I feel like Luthen's building up to be this Mon Mothma-like character, whereas Saw is definitely an extremist. Luthen is more on the level of Mon, and Luthen could perhaps show up in a few other bits of content as well. I don't know what's going to happen to the Luthen character, if he is going to end his story in Andor, or if perhaps, he might live on. I'm not quite sure, because the sequels take place, to be fair, Mandoverse is like 10 years after Andor, something like that, maybe a little more than the first season, 10 years after A New Hope, but 15 years later, I think Luthen could definitely pop up later on. But I'm really intrigued to see what these different episode arcs are, and I don't even know what piece I'm looking for. I think I've done all from that step, but big Clone Wars vibes, and I do like the little bits of Clone Wars are bringing back. Not just the characters. Characters are very, very nice to see in Ahsoka, in Mando, but also these styles of the Clone Wars, bringing them back because it's an animated show and it's a really, really good animated show. Some of the best Star Wars content has come through animation or the likes of CGI and all of that good stuff. But I definitely think there is going to be some really, really strong, compelling stories told in Andor because they are bunched in groups of 3 episodes. 3 episodes, I think Andor was only like half an hour or so. So you're looking at a decent sized movie, hour and a half, maybe leading up to 2 hours if they go for 40 minutes each, which would be really, really nice to get. Basically, 4 movies, a quadrilogy. A quadrilogy was 4 movies. If 3 movies is trilogy, 2 is a duology, maybe it's a quadology. I'd love to see a quadology of movies in Andor, and they're not going to have enough time to just beat around the bush and sort of jump between different storylines. They're going to have to go in with these episodes and really hit the ground running. I mean, the finale of season 1 was really cool. I'm not going to spoil it for people that haven't watched. There potentially might be some spoilers in this stream, though. I'm not going to hold back. But the finale ended off with a scene that didn't really... It was big, emotional, and kind of related to the full series, but it didn't feel like any sort of ending. It was very similar to... It was kind of like the Death Star blowing up in A New Hope. It's only the start of the battle, especially where Andor and half of the other characters are concerned. So it'll be interesting exactly how they go forward with this and where they build off, because I don't think much pivotal. I'm definitely going to have to rewatch the first season before I go into season 2. I don't remember too much pivotal moments happening in the finale. They definitely built up to it, but it felt like it wrapped up season 1 quite nicely, and now we're ready for season 2, which is where the action is going to begin. And if it is, I'm not quite sure if this is confirmed, the 4 groups of 3 episodes, but if it is, it's just going to be action after action. Something's going to happen. 3 episodes. We see this with Star Wars. So something is wanting to be done. The heroes want to do something, and they might seem like they succeed. That might be the end of episode 1. Perhaps we get a glimpse of someone lurking in the shadows. Episode 2, they then get knocked down a peg. And in episode 3, they're able to push through, and they might not always succeed. Revenge of the Sith, I wouldn't exactly say ended on a positive note for everyone involved, but that will then go on to the next lot of 3 episodes. And I'm just so excited to see how they manage to pull it off. And also wrapping up a ton of different characters, because not only are we getting... I have no idea where that piece went. It's a good thing I got more behind me. But not only are we getting Andor's story, we're also seeing K2 is meant to be in season 2. Krennic as well is another character. I believe they were both confirmed the last Star Wars celebration, so not last year, but the year before. And I'm sure there's going to be a few other references and characters popping up, as there always is in Star Wars. Star Wars loves to tease other storylines. This is a lot harder than I thought. I do have 2 other builds as well in case I finish this quickly, but I don't think I'm going to be finishing this quickly whatsoever. There's a few. All right, we got 2 of them. These 2x3s are impossible to find. They've got to be here somewhere. But there's so many different characters. We've got Luthen. We've got... I can't remember half of the characters' names, so that's another bit of research I'll definitely have to do by the time we get around to making any mocks or that, because we're... Bad Batch was the height of the Empire, and we're at a point where the Rebels are slowly starting to come together. You look at Rebels, the animated series, that's another good one, and everything they do there, even with Thrawn Vader's attention. I think I might have forgotten some pieces here, you know. This is the problem, just to sidetrack a little bit, with looking for... I took a look for all these pieces of Bricklink, Brickset, and Rebrickable. I completely forgot about Brick Owl, which I found to be the one place to get your parts list because they never seem to mess anything up. But it's not too hard a piece, at least I have a million of them here. Either way, let me know down in the comments or in the chat if you are catching this live what you're excited for most about Andor. I think I've really hit the really got excited by seeing that 4 cluster of 3 episodes, 4 lots of 3 episodes, which reminds me of Clone Wars. And Clone Wars did everything so great in my eyes. Even the things they didn't do too great, they did really, really well. So that's got me really, really excited for Andor. And we should be getting a trailer, I think, sometime soon. Not quite sure. I don't remember exactly when we get Star Wars trailers, but I feel 2 months away. Usually Lego would leave it like a couple weeks before announcing a Lego set, but hopefully we can see a trailer at some point soon for Andor, because it's gonna be straightforward to know what we're getting, but the trailer could really come out and show us things we're not expecting. So we've got the whole arc with Andor and his sister, which is introduced episode 1 straight away. We are in the depths of something we still haven't worked out. We've also got the fight against the Empire, which is with every Star Wars story. There's going to be a fight against the Empire and rebels banding together to overthrow the Empire, both locally and overall, which is interesting about Andor taking the fight to Coruscant as well, being so close to the heart of the Empire, and still there is minds at work trying to overthrow them. But Andor was written so well the first time. I have absolutely zero worries, I think, about the second season and what's going to come from it. I've realized we've got a little mechanism for this ATST as well. So this turns everything, basically. I think this goes in to then turn something here, which spins the head around. And I've definitely got to get my motor out and play with that later on. Hello there, Greg Dillon. I remember saying your name wrong last week as well. Greg Dilton or something, I think it was. Have I seen the leaked AT-AT helmet? I have, and I was really hoping Lego would put it up on the official site as well, so I could do a little video on it, because I'm trying to stay away from leaks. I'm hoping Lego have some really grand reveals for this year. But the AT-AT helmet is really, really nice because it's also the anniversary of Empire Strikes Back, which is why I've decided to revisit the AT-ST. So I'm really hoping in the next couple of days they put it up. It looks so good. I've only seen one of the images, which is like the render or the image of the mask or the helmet on the desk, but it does look really cool. It wasn't fully built. I noticed some exposed studs which seemed misplaced either side of the helmet. I don't think it was fully built. Maybe it was fully built. Hopefully, again, we will see soon, but it does look really, really good. Planning to get 2 with the UCS AT-AT. Those are going to look really, really cool on display with the UCS AT-AT. I think even with the PlayScout AT-AT, having one either side, you definitely got to go for 2. 2 pilots in the AT-AT. Lego know what they're doing there, but I really like the giant dish elements with the Imperial logos. I think they were in red on the AT-AT helmet. Might be in another color, but it's very similar to the TIE Pilot. The TIE Pilot I never saw on shelves, and I'm pretty sure it was because of those dish pieces. I don't know exactly where they'd be useful in mocks, but I guess someone's got to find a use for them for something, and it is a case of printed parts. They're going to be expensive in the future, so you'll get a load of people buying the set just for that, and it looks cool to display with any sort of Empire Strikes Back. I hope there is some sort of 4x4 element laying around. I hope there's some sort of exclusive brick, because I've actually designed my own Empire Strikes Back brick, and I really would like to see the same with Lego, but it's 45 years, not quite 40 years. I don't think we got one for 40 years. We got one for Return of the Jedi's 40 years, but I don't remember one for Empire Strikes Back. We might have. But I'd love to see I'd love to see a few, actually, because this year we got Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and also The Force Awakens. Perhaps they're going to bring out another helmet. I don't think we got Kylo Ren, which is the rumor at the minute. We're meant to be getting a Kylo Ren helmet down the line, but hopefully we see a few more different. I like the helmets, actually, just the helmets in general, a few more helmets, because Revenge of the Sith, if we're getting an AT-AT driver and a Kylo Ren to fit with Force Awakens, just hypothetically here, you got to come along on this imaginative journey with me. Well, we've already seen images of the AT-AT driver, but if we were to get a helmet from Revenge of the Sith, my mind straight away goes to like a really detailed Grievous head, which would be really, really cool. We got the Dark Trooper. I'm pretty sure we got that as an official helmet. So it wouldn't be uncalled for to get a Grievous head, and Grievous would just look really, really cool. Other than Grievous, I don't really know. I don't see him doing like a Vulture droid or a Buzz droid or anything like that, but what are the helmets? We could definitely get the clone pilot helmet from the ARC 170. It goes with the ARC 170. That would look really cool on display, and that also goes with the Revenge of the Sith. Yes to anything Grievous. We definitely need more Grievous. Grievous hasn't been around for like 10 years. It's like 7. Or was that 20? It's like 5 years we haven't got anything Grievous, but we are overdue some Grievous, and a Grievous head would sell so well. I'm sure I don't need to tell you this. I'm sure we don't need to tell Lego this. A Grievous helmet, I'm sure there are a ton of mocks over on Rebrickable right now that, in fact, let me have a little look. Let me pull up Rebrickable and see just how many Grievous heads there are. If I search, oh, I don't have any Grievous mocks, yeah. I don't want to search my own mocks. I haven't built any of them yet. But you search for Grievous. There you go. The 9th one that pops up is a Grievous head. And it's quite technicky, actually. We've got another Grievous head mark. That one looks quite good. And another, that's a full bust. We've got a helmet that's, well, it's a head, but it's styled to be the same size as the Boba one. That one's good by Brickslayer. We've got one by Bread. That one looks really cool. There are so many really good Grievous head mocks, yet not one Lego set of, well, the only droid we've got is the Dark Trooper one from The Mandalorian, and we haven't got 3PO. I understand why Lego didn't do 3PO. They've got the giant statue, but 3PO would be a good one to get down the line, especially like an Attack of the Clones one that's just the head that R2 can pull along. I guess you can behead the giant display model, but you know, a bit cheaper, a bit larger, that would look really, really cool. B1s, B2s would be really, really hard to do. But there's so many other things, I'm sure, from Revenge of the Sith that I'm not thinking of. I guess we've got the buildable Droideka, perhaps a buildable Grievous, perhaps buildable characters in general. It would be nice to see, like with the helmets, what they did for the Lego Man, what they've done for Harry and Hermione. And I don't think they've done it ever since, so maybe they didn't sell as well. But get some giant buildable characters sized like Lego. The problem with the Harry and Hermione was that the torsos was just a 1x6x5 panel piece with some printing on. Whereas I think something like Clone Troopers, I've done it with Captain Rex just at the back here. That is a torso and legs styled like a Lego minifigure under the helmet. And there is a video if you want a closer look. But if Lego sold something like that where they could actually brick detail the torso and the, I guess it's like the ammo pouches around Rex's waist for any clone really, and then give us an exclusive printed tile with like the rank on it or the ammo pouches, something like that would be really, really cool. And I think it would sell well, because what we're seeing with Lego Star Wars is more display sets and display pieces recently in comparison to what we've got previous years, and especially with a comparison to how many play sets we're getting. I don't know if the play sets are reducing as much as a load of people would like us to think, but I'm sure we are getting a few less play sets than we were 10, 20 years ago. Well, we weren't getting many play sets 20 years ago, 10 years ago, because of all of the display sets. But some of these display sets are really, really cool. A Snowtrooper helmet would be really, really cool. Yes, that's a good one from Greg Dillon. There's so many other, especially Empire Strikes Back, because of Hoth, there's so many helmets. We could even get, I'm sure we're going to see a load of these mocked up now that we've got the AT-AT driver, but we could get a Rebel Snow Trooper helmet. They're not Snow Troopers, but the Rebels from Hoth, where they've got the helmet with the goggles, similar to Luke's helmet, less iconic, I guess, than the Red 5 helmet. We could also get Wedge, Antilles helmet. We could get something like a Dax. I guess a load of the pilot helmets we can get through buying Luke's and modifying Luke's Red 5 helmet. So they probably, unless there's a big recolor like the Mando and Boba helmets, I don't see them doing any more X-Wing pilot helmets, or I guess that rules out Clone Troopers Phase 1 and Phase 2. That was smart with Rex and Cody. And Mandalorians, we've got Boba, we've got the Mandalorian. Perhaps getting the Mandalorian's helmet rules out a few of the other Clone Wars era ones. And like Sabine Wren's is similar with a bit of paint on it, so we probably won't be getting a Sabine Wren helmet. That would have been cool to get. But there are so many other helmets we can get in place of these. Empire Strikes Back, Snowtrooper, Rebel. We've already got Vader. I don't think Vader's helmet's any different. We could get... They could try and do... They tried to do a few faces. I think we got like BB-8. We got... I think that was a sequel trilogy Stormtrooper in this little mosaic plaque. We could try and get something like that with Palpatine's face and then the hood to go around it. It's a bit harder. Lego Star Wars, I don't think, are going to do any faces with these sets, because after Chewbacca, even after 3PO they did really well, but Chewbacca took some getting used to and some warming up to, because that's a... it's very hard. Lego have always struggled trying to do faces, even on things like the Statue of Liberty. When that originally released, I remember the face of that not looking the best, and then they were sending out pieces to fix that up afterwards. Because having built MOCs, and if you have built MOCs yourself, you'll know that years down the line, even months down the line, you'll look back at it having built so much more, or a few MOCs down the line, however long that takes, you'll look back at a MOC and think, you could have done that so much better. Why did you do this? You could have done that. And it's going to be the same with Lego sets as well. I'm sure the designers look at sets they've done previously and ask themselves why they chose that piece, why they put it there, and little bits like that, just to improve it as we go along. Hello there, Kid Wonder Stories. Welcome to the stream. We're just talking about helmets. We've gone over Revenge of the Sith with basically a Grievous head. The other ones aren't important. Grievous head is the one we want. We've got Empire Strikes Back. There is images on the website, on the World Wide Web, on the internet, of an AT-AT driver helmet, which does look really, really cool. And hopefully we can get official images of that soon. And now The Force Awakens, the other anniversary of this year, and probably the hard one to pick for helmets, because we've got Kylo Ren. We've got our... Oh, wow. There's loads of helmets. Phasma, Sand Trooper, Fins with the bloodied hand, which Lego could do. They are 18 plus sets. Would they do, though, the bloody... Because we got the Finn minifigure without the helmet for that exact reason. I need to definitely decal the bloodied hand on a helmet for Finn. That's a really good idea. I've got a little tab up on here just for good ideas or conversations that I don't quite get to, and I am definitely jotting that down. Turned a fake Grievous into the best version of him. A Royal Guard helmet. Yes, that would be really cool, because they're outside Palpatine's office. All right. Finn hand helmet. I'll remember that later on. But we've got Phasma. We've got the sandy stormtroopers. Then we've got regular stormtroopers. Finn's helmet. The Flame Troopers as well we got introduced to, and the Snow Troopers when we first saw Starkiller, because it's a icy, snowy, Hoth-like planet. We basically got all the helmets. We probably got more helmets in The Force Awakens of sequel trilogy troopers than we did of stormtroopers in the originals or clone troopers in the prequels, because I think we only see phase 1, phase 2, maybe a few like clone pilot helmets as well in Revenge of the Sith, so we do get to see a few. And then we get the 91st, I think, which have a slightly different styled helmet. Maybe not the prequels then. We'll forget about the prequel clone troopers, but we definitely got more than the original trilogy stormtroopers. So there are Inquisitor helmets. There are so many helmets that LEGO could give us. So I hope it isn't the end of the helmet line. This is looking good because I'm wondering what they've changed about the helmet. LEGO pumped out quite a few helmets and then they took a break. It's a bit like me and mechs, actually, or dioramas. I tended to do a lot in the space of a few months and then just stopped, not dioramas, but I stopped making mechs nearly completely. So I wonder what would be different about these helmets. They've stopped, they've thought it through, perhaps they've switched up something on the inside. We could get an interior with a hidden minifigure. That would be really cool. I have a question about LEGO. Construer. I'm not quite sure what that construer means, but Darth Revan would be a really cool one. I'm not sure if the KOTOR game is still happening, the KOTOR remake, which I'll be honest, I'm still waiting for because I think that would be really, really cool. Not necessarily a remake. I would love to get a KOTOR 3 because I've replayed the first one recently. I haven't replayed the second one. For quite a long time, so I should probably get back and play that. I think I started playing through that about a year ago, the second one, when I finished the first one. But getting a third one to that, or a game in a similar style to that, really any Star Wars game. We haven't had one since we've had one since Jedi Survivor. I'm forgetting about a game. Oh, Outlaws. We've had Outlaws, but we haven't had a game that's in the style of KOTOR for ages. So I'd love to get another game like that. And if they did do a remake, if they made a sequel to it, if they made a prequel, no matter what content we've got, if we get something, even if they adapt it into a movie or series, which I definitely think is on the cards, if they don't do the remaster, games nowadays, they're basically shows with bigger or smaller budgets. I think slightly smaller budgets. They're basically movies or shows with smaller budgets, so they get you to fill in the in-between. Because having played through Survivor after Fallen Order had a lot more puzzles in it. Survivor was a lot of running between cutscenes, and it was still really, really good. That's not taken away from the game. Definitely play it if you haven't, but I think I picked it up at Christmas for like 17 quid or something. But Outlaws is very, very expensive for a game, considering even what it'd cost to go to the cinema a few times. You know, you can definitely get a few trips for what Outlaws is charging you. But if we don't get a game, I'd love to get some sort of show adaptation, or perhaps even a retelling. They could do a retelling, not exactly how we played it in the game, switch up a few bits to keep us on our toes and get a series on KOTOR. That'd be really, really cool. Kid Wonder Stories bets that LEGO could make a fortune if they only made helmet sets. They could. That is genuinely, yes, it would upset a few people, and I would be intrigued to see how I would make mocks of ships just using the helmets. If you have all 8 of these helmets, you can build, and it's like a delta because there's only so many little pieces in each of them. But we could get all the different Darths. I've realized recently Funko have been coming out with a load of Legends. I think they just dropped away from KOTOR 2, or they might have done a few. I recognize the droid from KOTOR 2. I'm not sure what other gaming Legends they've done. But Hasbro, with their action figure line, it's not Legends, Black Series. Hasbro's Black Series make a few games figures here and there. Funko make a few game figures here and there. LEGO used to, and I'm not quite sure if it's because LEGO isn't as, I don't want to say mainstream, it's definitely as popular as the rest of them. But when it comes to LEGO, a lot of the people building them don't always go for something like displays. A lot of the people buying LEGO you know, want to build something. So when it's built, it then goes on display, but you don't buy it just to display it. It's hard to explain. A Sordukar helmet set. I can't say I remember who that is. I can almost guarantee it'll be someone from like a game or something that I've played though, and the name's just gone completely over the head, like we were saying earlier with the Andor characters. But there is a gold mine of helmets out there. I can't think of any Resistance helmets from The Force Awakens. We could do like the pilot helmets, but I'm not sure how well they'd come across in Lego. Empire Strikes Back, there's a gold mine. Legends games, we've got so many Legends games. I think I've got like 60 Star Wars games downloaded. Some of them are like Racer, so there's not exactly characters to attach to, and that's quite a hard game. Race, I think Racer 2, I think there's 2 of them, is probably a hard game and all. But there are so many helmets Lego could do. If only they had a few more sets they could make, because I feel like Star Wars is getting a load of sets. We're getting 3. We've got the home one, we've got the Acclamator, and there's another midi scale ship I think we got this year. I can't remember. Oh, Sardaukar off Dune. Yes, I haven't watched Dune actually. I've seen the second ones popped up on Sky Cinema, but I've got enough Star Wars content to last years, so I'm still trying to catch up on some of the other like Legends stories and that I've missed out on, all the books. And I don't really read much, so I'm not doing much catching up. But bag 2, yes. Helmets is a tricky one, because unless they have switched it up a lot, I will be intrigued to see how long this helmet's run goes on for. I'm sure people are going to be paying for them no matter what the price is and anything like that. But I am wondering from Lego's point of view now. Ever since I said, what have they changed? It's got my gears turning in my head, and I do wonder if there is something inside, or there's going to be some sort of twist to them. And I might just be setting myself up for failure and disappointment, but I can hope, and I am. Oh, I thought I did just found the 2x3s from earlier. Then go back. But I would like the helmets to have like a little latch at the back. You open it up, and in the AT-AT driver, if this isn't possible and I ever get my hands on the helmet, I'm definitely going to modify it to do this. But you have a little latch on the back, or like a little part that opens up, and on the interior, you've just got 1 or 2, preferably 2 AT-AT pilots sat at a command, or maybe a little scene from something else, even if it's micro built in there with studs. Because Lego like to do that with their midi scale ships. And that would also be really, really cool if they could just get a little scene in, or maybe one of the AT-ATs from the advent calendar. They could put that, because my Boba and Rex helmet have so much space on the interior that it honestly feels just straight up wasted. They've got to be doing something in there. And so many of the designers, since the helmets, have liked to put in little stud builds in different models, not even midi scale ships and any of the other helmets or the UCS models. We see it in, oh no, that's not a UCS model, I don't think. We've seen it in a load of the midi scale ships. We've also seen it in one of the smaller scale. I think the Ghost might have. Hello there, Threlius Blue. Threlius? Is that Elius Blue? Hello there and welcome to the stream. Kid Wonder Stories has a question if I'm selling this shirt. Not yet. Merch coming soon, maybe, possibly. I wonder, I realise I'm shouting into the mic, sorry for that, especially if you're wearing headphones. But I wonder if I would be able to sell. I'd probably have to do an artistic render of the minifigure, because Lego do own the copyright to the minifigure, and it's not just the brick built minifigure, it's the way a minifigure looks. So if I chop it off at the waist, it might not look like a minifigure. If the arms bend a bit more, it won't look like a minifigure. There are definitely ways of getting around it, and merch is something I am looking into. I was looking into customs. Oh, light bluish grey. I was looking into customs of minifigures as well as like your t-shirt, mugs, and I definitely want to look at making my own desk mat. I have given up looking for a company that does the desk mat that I want, so I'm taking it into my own hands. I'm making it, and who knows, maybe I'll be advertising it in the near future. But in terms of merch, there are so many ideas that I've got with what can go on a shirt. The trouble is getting around the legal side of Lego, what they own and what I can use. Basically, because I'd be selling the merch and because I'd be making a profit off of it, because then that would fund, more merch ideas and eventually that minifigure scale Star Destroyer. I have not forgotten about that. I'm not letting you forget about that. That is going to cost a fortune, but because I would be making money off of it, there are certain things that I wouldn't be able to do. It'd be nice if I prepare the target, the main shield generator. The actor who said this line had trouble saying it. Prepare to target the main shield generator. I can see that being a line. I don't think there's anything complicated about the line, but because it's got prepare to target the main shield generator, I would just trip up on myself. So there's a few different lines like that. I know there was the line that I think it was Mark Hamill's line with Luke in A New Hope. Nearly said The Force Awakens, got Force Awakens on my mind. In A New Hope, there was a really long and complex line, and he eventually got it changed. He said it a few times at like Star Wars Celebration and parts like that. But if I had any sort of lines to say, I feel like I would definitely mess up one. I'm not the easiest speaking person there is to be reading anything off, really. I'll read a comment wrong half the time, so I'm very happy I'm not down that line of business. But there's quite a few different lines in Star Wars, akin to the I don't like sand, it's coarse, rough, gets everywhere, that are just a bit, a bit not odd, it's completely reasonable for someone to say, but just a bit out there in terms of I like how the originals were to start it off. I like everything, but I genuinely do like everything Star Wars. I know I was saying that just because I like everything, but I genuinely think Star Wars could put out some questionable media. Arguably, maybe they have put out some questionable media, but I do think Luke Starkiller, I'm here to rescue you. Yeah, that's the original line before it was Skywalker. That's another interesting thing, though. Starkiller was very on the nose. Skywalker is still very on the nose, but I think it's less than Starkiller when you're in a movie with a massive star killer being the Death Star. I like Skywalker, but I then like the fact they revisited Starkiller and a lot of the different concept arts were used in Rebels. R2-D2's concept is the reason Chopper has arms and is slightly shorter than the rest. And there are some really good ways they've used the concept down the line. But I was looking into 3PO. You might notice on Shorts, I posted a short just before this stream about C3PO and about how even though he is not gold looking on screen in Attack of the Clones, he is still kind of gold because of the undercoat of... He's very sandy on Tatooine, but goddamn aliens, let's build alien ship. I tell you what, Alien is in the movie Alien. Definitely could do. There's a load of other 1979. There's a load of 70s, 80s shows, movies that can get Lego sets. And I'm surprised there's not more, because we got Indiana Jones the Indiana Jones diorama, I think, was part of the wave. But we got that. We've got the Jaws diorama piece as well. And there was another set that was very Steven Spielberg related. So I'm surprised we don't jump around a bit more in the 70s and 80s, mainly the 80s, I suppose, and get a few other sets from that. But well, there we are. The thing, I'm struggling to find these pieces because I've pulled them all together and it's making it very hard to see. But we learn, and now I know for next time. What were we talking about before I got distracted? With Star Wars reusing certain things. I'm sure we wrapped that up. Alien 1979 ships like the one they land on, and got a cargo car coming out. There are some really cool. I think the good thing as well with like ideas or icon sets as well. If it's not an idea, Lego can still make it under icons, and just don't have to give 1% to the original designer. I guess I don't think there's exactly a big benefit for them, but other themes can license sets from Lego without it being first published on ideas. And not only does it have to look good on display, not only will it look good on display, find the little girl, I know, but it can also have some play features in it as well. Just because it looks good on display, a bit like the Snow White house that came with all the minifigures. It's Disney. You do expect it to have a bit of play just for people that do want to buy it, and like a family activity in it, really building a giant Lego set. But you can still have different bits of play functions, play features, and stuff like that that you can then build into the display side as well. I think the ATST that we're building here looks really, really good on display. We've still got flick fire missiles. The reason we're building this is actually to modify it, so I guess it doesn't look too good on display, but it still looks quite good on display, and it works as a play toy as well. There are so many different themes that Lego should be doing stuff on, and they're just not. I mean, there's only so many designers they have. There's only so much time as well, and so much money to produce all of these sets in the hundreds, thousands, millions, potentially even. But I would like to see Lego keep going with it. See a Kid Wonder stories after lunch. There's movie copyrights is a big thing that they've got to tackle, and character as well, because Star Wars have been asking for George Lucas minifigures. Marvel have been asking for Feige, Stan Lee figures. I mean, Feige got a minifigure in the end, but Stan Lee minifigures, I'm sure there are other actual humans that other themes would like as minifigures, like a Walt Disney minifigure, which I think they did get from Disney. Again, that's a bit more tightly linked to Disney, but not just movie copyrights, everything's copyrighted nowadays. It sort of has to be with the world we live in. That's just aged me by a couple of years, but that means even drawing on names like Lucas, like Stan Lee, is costing money, and that's what they had. That's the price they have to take from the end, from the set and from the profits of the set. So Lego have to look at it. If they made something like an Alien set, for instance, there's not a lot of merch out there on it. I would see that being relatively cheap in comparison to a lot of other themes that Lego are pumping out. But a hole in it. But something like Alien would also be. I don't know if it would be expensive because no one's doing it, or cheap because no one's doing it. But then they have to look at all the copyrights and pay in to get. Maybe Disney. These are on backwards. Maybe Disney, because there's so much merch coming out about it, it's actually fairly cheap to make merch on. And something like Alien that doesn't have a ton of merch is going to be more expensive because they think, well, we don't do merch a lot, so, charge a premium for it. So that would eat out of a Lego profit. So where is buy Lego pieces to make custom sets on eBay or estate? Like on eBay or estate sales, I guess, need to build it. So where is buy Lego pieces to make custom? Because I only got a few sets non-related. Star Wars ships. Star Wars got ships, so pieces already help. True, you could just buy Lego sets, like bulk buy bricks off sites. You've mentioned eBay there, or other places. I've heard that Facebook Marketplace is good for it. I think there are probably a few better sites to be buying bricks off. I guess it depends, because I think a load of people buy Lego off Facebook Marketplace because it's an older. There's probably an older age range using it, which I think is fair to say, and they won't know the value of a load of Lego sets, so you can probably get a few cheaper deals on there. But really, if you look long enough, I'm sure Lego deals will pop up. And then if you get a few Star Wars sets, grey, black, fits with the Alien thing, but it's I've tried to open a Bricklink store previously, which you might have seen the video on, and a lot of it is waiting for people not just to buy bricks, but also waiting for people to be selling bricks, because lots of people, depending on the area you live in, I guess it depends how many other people are looking for Lego bricks, but it can be quite a time taking task. And I suppose it's quite good if you want to look at sites like eBay, probably put on notifications for it and check every so often. But as long as you've got the time to keep checking, eventually you're just going to stock up, and you genuinely could put together your own alien set like that, which I'm not quite sure how interesting it would be depending on what pieces you use, but it's definitely a route you can take for it. But I'm not in Atlanta. They're in Atlanta. Only saw lots on estate sales. I assume that's like an eBay site. I'm not quite sure what that is, but that might be an American thing. It might be here in the UK, and I just don't know about it because I don't tend to look for used sets, used lots of Lego, which I probably should. And definitely, I mentioned the minifigure scale Star Destroyer, which I'm trying to put the numbers together still. I'm not specifically trying to like dedicate a day to working out how big it's gonna be, but I am trying to slowly piece together how big I can actually make this, dependent on when we hit, I think I said 100k subs. So I've got a few things before then, in case you didn't know, I'll recap them. At 5k subs, I'm building a custom X-Wing and TIE, not based off any set, just X-Wing and TIE, because why not? I think that was a really good idea. It was actually supplied by the comments a few streams ago, but that's 5k. 10k subs, we're building a UCS set, which at one point seemed like it would be the Razor Crest. It was, last I checked, leaning towards the Jabba Sail Barge, right when the Jabba Sail Barge came out. So I think that was reason for that. And dependent on, hopefully, I didn't even think of the Grand Death Star coming out. Yes, I don't think I'll be building that one, but hopefully there'll be another contender towards the end of this year. That would be quite good. But the Sail Barge has so many minifigures. It's the Katana, which is the name of the ship. It's a bit more expensive than a few of them. It'll be worth it when we hit 10k subscribers, and that will be built live on stream. I don't know if the X-Wing and TIE will be built entirely live, but I probably could try and build it live. The only thing with building mocks live, as we found out last year, is a lot of it is breaking it down, rebuilding it, breaking it down. So I could just build, see what we end up with, and fix it after the stream. But I might build that off stream. We could give it a shot. We could give it a shot on stream. Perhaps if I build it off stream, get some instructions, then I can rebuild it on stream. That would be a good idea. But that's not as long as I think. We're at just over 4.2k. That's 800 subs away. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching the stream, 7 likes already. Thank you so much. But about the 2-legged robots from old Star Wars, from ATST, 2 legs. Yeah, the Chicken Walkers from the original trilogy. That's exactly what we're building here. That would be a cool UCS set to go along with the AT-AT that they've got, the UCS set, which I think actually just retired end of last year, or no, yeah, just it might still be up. It might be retiring this year. Either retired last year, this year, maybe the year before last. I can't entirely remember. But hello there, Daniel. Welcome to the stream. There are a ton of UCS sets that we can choose from, even the retired ones. Some of them are really, really cool. I wonder if the UCS need to start collecting those. They're very expensive, but they're definitely sets that can be collected. That would be some sort of collection for sure. To be fair, I say they're expensive. I do have a few of the £100 sets. It's just, instead of buying a few of those, you save up for a UCS set. So I don't think they're as expensive as I think. Well, no, they are as expensive, but I don't think they're as far away as I think. But there's a few UCS sets. We spoke earlier on about the helmets they could make from Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, and The Force Awakens. But we could speak about the UCS sets as well, because every other year they do a UCS set from original trilogy and prequel. I don't think we've got a UCS set, unless you count the Falcon. The Falcon was a UCS set that kind of related to The Force Awakens. Let me see if I can stop this chair from squeaking. There we go. The Falcon came with a swappable satellite dish and a few minifigures from The Force Awakens, so it kind of relates to it. But I don't think we've got a sequel trilogy set from, a sequel trilogy UCS set. So we could get something like, especially this year, it's Revenge of the Sith's anniversary, so we're probably leaning towards a Revenge of the Sith UCS set later on this year. But if they do go down the line of sequel UCS sets, which would be a massive leap for Star Wars, I think Kylo Ren shuttle could be a really good one, unless UCS Death Star in May had a UCS Starkiller base, which is like 10 times the size of the Death Star. Yes, they release a grand set around May, and then September, just drop a 10 grand Lego set that's too big to fit in a room. That's more than a leap. Would a sequel UCS set sell enough? Lego doesn't even make sequel sets really at the moment. I haven't made a sequel set. I guess they 6 years ago got the Falcon, which has only just retired. Hopefully that's retired. That's been on shelves for years. The one with Lando and the other Mark Hamill character, the green one with the horns. But sequel sets don't sell. Sequel characters sell, which is why earlier we brought up the possibility of a Kylo Ren helmet being released, because we've got sequel trilogy characters in... Oh, there was the Rey and 3PO in the Falcon. There was another character as well. There's another sequel trilogy character that got released in, or a sequel part of a character maybe, like with 3PO, the head with the red eyes. The black arm doesn't make him accurate to the sequels, but the red eyes is the piece that I think there was another piece that made another character accurate to something or other. I can't remember now, but we haven't got any sequel trilogy sets since that Falcon, like 6 years ago, if I recall correctly. But then suddenly in April, we're getting a character encyclopedia with Episode 9's Palpatine. And like I said, we've just got the head of 3PO in Rebuild the Galaxy. We got the Dark Side Rey as well. I guess we got like an older Luke, which kind of ties to the sequel trilogy a little bit. Infinity's Vader with the Dark Falcon from the book as well. There's definitely a few little bits the sequel trilogy fans are being thrown, but I also think The Force Awakens is 10 years old this year, later on. I think it was around Christmas time, and the fans that grew up with the sequels are like the ones that grew up, that were children and will forever have memories of seeing their first Star Wars movie be in The Force Awakens. And now at an age where perhaps they're appreciating it a bit more. They might have, heard what the older generations were saying it compared to the prequels, which, at the time might have been a little too far. But I definitely think Lego will start to trickle out one set every couple of years. I don't think it's ever going to be anywhere near what we're getting for prequels or the originals. But Daniel said Lego should make a UCS set of Skellig Michael Island, Arcto, and add an add-on to make it Star Wars Arcto, like the architecture type Hogwarts. That would be really cool. I thought they were going to do that with the Falcon that we got from The Force Awakens, the section of the Falcon that came with the giant octopus creature. I don't remember the name of that. I thought because that had a load of Technic parts, and we've thought it before, I thought it with a Dark Trooper attack, I thought it again with a Tantive boarding, and so far the Tantive boarding did connect to itself, but none of the other sets did. So getting something like that with a Falcon, well, even the Skellig Michael display with the Arcto, I think having a set like Arcto that could be turned into Skellig Michael, sure, it's the point of the comment that just come through. If you don't like Star Wars, you still get the island. That could be really good because it is some sort of religious, it means something to everyone outside of Star Wars as well as the people in Star Wars. Now, the audience isn't going to be as much, but I think that could also open up to different Star Wars fans to have almost like a set from Star Wars. It'd be like the Friends sets. Friends, not Friends City Friends, but Friends the sitcom. We got a central perk caf and then the apartments with like the lights up and everything. If we got a few porgs, a few seagulls, and then a few like light stands we could set up, that would be really, really cool. I'm not sure about a UCS set. That'd definitely make a fun play set. You get like Abrams and Ryan Johnson as well as the directors on there, a few cameramen to work the cameras. That would be quite funny, actually. Oh, it's a UNESCO heritage site. That's what I'm thinking of. But it would be quite fun, actually. I don't think sequels ever going to get the attention that the prequels and the original trilogy had. It would be nice to see it get some attention, even from. I'm not too fussed about getting a sequel trilogy set, although, you know, these streams would definitely make it seem like I am all for the sequel sets. But I do feel a little bad for fans of those movies, kind of because growing up with Clone Wars and the prequel trilogy, my route into Lego was getting sets based on the Clone Wars and prequel trilogy. The sequels need a Clone Wars. Resistance was quite good. Resistance led from The Force Awakens into... No. Resistance led into The Force Awakens. Battlefront 2 led from The Force Awakens into The Last Jedi. And then there were a ton of books that led from The Last Jedi into Rise of Skywalker. And, of course, the big one, Fortnite. Because Fortnite went into... Yeah, Fortnite, I think, announced Palpatine's return. Something like that. I don't know. I wasn't there for that. But I guess if it works. But we need something like that to tie the original trilogy into the sequels. And as soon as that... I don't think the new Jedi Order movie is going to do it. Captain Price has just seen the two walkers on the front cover. I don't think I said hello there. So hello there, Captain Price. Welcome to the stream, even if you've been here for quite some time. But getting a show like that, it doesn't have to be animated. It could be... The Mandoverse is kind of trickling into the sequels. We got in The Mandalorian, the whole thing with the clones and Palpatine, and then they took that research elsewhere, probably to Exegol, probably to the Sith cult that then continued it and led up to Snoke, which we kind of got a little bits in the comics as well. So I guess Mandoverse is kind of giving us little bits, but we need a show just to delve into the New Republic. We got so many characters we can follow, and you just follow them, go through with them, build up to The Force Awakens, and yeah, what? Forget about this. I would sacrifice all of the sequel trilogy sets for Daniel's recent chat that says the Naboo Lake House could be a good set again, would appeal to non-Star Wars fans too. That would be really, really cool. I've actually got just up here, I've started breaking them down, so the roof isn't on, but the roof was, I think it was the Yavin Planet series, half of the Yavin planet from the Planet Micro series we got, again, years back. That would be quite good. But I actually built a modular of the lake house, and getting that as a UCS Lego set. Again, the Lego version of I Don't Like Sand, I think that meme enough would sell it. But you've got the different interiors. You've got a little balcony area where Anakin and Padme get married. There's one set of costumes. I guess Anakin's maybe a UCS set that comes with like 5 to 10 different Padme costumes is really what we're getting at. That's what I really want. But it could include the wedding dress, the leathery black costume from the fireplace, which was another very odd scene. We've then got there was like a blue dress as well. So many, maybe only like 5 Padmes they can include with that, but that could be a good idea as well. I'm not sure how many of you have seen the new Disney sets video that I did, where we got the Cruella dress, the Maleficent dress, the Cinderella dress. I think if Lego was to release a Padme dress for like 30 odd quid, that would sell really, really well, as well as like the helmets. It's the cheaper version of these midi scale ships that are 45 to 90 odd pound. Helmets, again, they're around 60 odd quid. And having something a little smaller like that might eventually get people into the more expensive midi scale ships and something like that. The Theed Royal Palace, that'd be another good one. there are a ton of different locations, and this is just the Theed Royal Palace, I guess, is more Phantom Menace. You've got the Naboo Lake House from Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, Jedi Temple, hands down. We will get round to building this eventually. We've only been going an hour long. We don't have much to show. This is bag 1, this is bag 2. We'll get to it, but for the Jedi Temple, I have built my base for the Jedi Temple out of a bunch of different plates that I've managed to scrap together. This is all going to be covered eventually, so hopefully I don't need these dark tan plates for the actual side of the Jedi Temple. But again, with the Jedi Temple, I have built, I'm not sure if I'll be able to pull this down. Let me try not to wreck the background live on camera, but the Jedi Temple actually goes side by side with the Naboo Lake House, so might as well bring it forward and talk about this for a while. Probably not going to get another chance to see it on camera. This might be destroyed as soon as tomorrow, to be fair. So with the Jedi Temple, that's another set that they could do like the Yavin. Hopefully I'm not covering any of the members here. Let's make sure all the names can be read. There we go. But the Jedi Temple can be done like the Yavin playset that we got, and I'm a little surprised that maybe they are working on it, but we've got Vader's Castle, which is a similar style to that. We've now got the Yavin Ceremony, again, another temple shape. Jedi Temple has to be next. This is a very oddly shaped Jedi Temple because it's modular, but definitely UCS Jedi Temple. Even if they've been doing a few little Agrabah Palace from Aladdin and the Disney Castle, not this size actually, and putting a minifigure with it, this would be a really cool opportunity. They could whack Yoda with it, maybe give us a special Yoda, maybe like dual molded legs with little green toes or something, or maybe just whack Grievous with a Jedi Temple. But definitely need to get a Jedi Temple, a Lake House, Jedi Temple. I guess these are the prequel versions. What would be the original trilogy 3? I guess Death Star, or maybe even the Yavin Ceremony would be, or Yavin Temple would be the A New Hope version. But then we've got Empire Strikes Back. Oh, we could do something Cloud City-esque. Let me bring this back. I lost the Onyx Cinder the other day, and I don't remember where I found it. It was in an odd place. It might have been behind me on the drawers. I'll have to watch that video back. I can't remember, but I feel like I might have seen it if it was on the drawers. But we've got Yavin potentially from A New Hope. Empire Strikes Back is a hard one because Hoth isn't exactly... It's very dioramic, but we've had a Master Builder series Hoth, and it didn't look all... It was well put together for a Lego set, but in terms of display, I don't think it held its own. So I'm not quite sure what we could get for Empire Strikes Back. We could get something along the lines of Bespin, but have the interior be I Am Your Fire. So I like the Cloud City Master Builder series, I guess, and they've even got the little would be honored if you join us scene, but not entirely sure from Empire Strikes Back what we could get in some sort of UCS size build. Return of the Jedi, easy, hands down. I would love to get one of those Imperial bunkers in a UCS size build. Everything on the interior. They can throw extra things, maybe give us a tree with a little Ewok hut around it. That would be a really, really cool UCS set. Again, kind of Master Builder sets, I feel like we're talking here, rather than UCS sets. UCS is more ships on display. Master Builder series is the buildings. Master Building series. Master Builder series. But Empire Strikes Back's a tricky one. From Episode 7, I'm going to speed run the sequels. Episode 7, we've got Takodana. That's a really cool Lego set, and I really wanted them to put more into that actual Lego set, but I really like that Lego set. It's probably one of my favorite Force Awakens Lego sets because they covered everything. From The Last Jedi, Ahch-To, that's an easy one. It's got to be Last Jedi because we saw more of it. We got a few of the caves and that, include all the little details. Canto Bight. Oh, Canto Bite would be a good one though as well. I guess Octo, they've already done the red the red half ripoff. Yeah, to be fair, red half with the giant door. Crate they could do. I really would love a crate set purely for that Leia minifigure as well. There's so many minifigures that we got every character from episode 7, but Crate, we got Canto Bite, and we got Arcto as well. I feel like Arcto generally it works for episode 9 as well. For episode 9, we've got for Rise of Skywalker. I'm not entirely sure what we've got for Rise of Skywalker. We could do Exegol. Not sure how much of Exegol we could get. I feel like it's quite a hard because it's all underworld and there's this giant like sand crawler on top. We could get I don't know the name of it, but the giant like the Maw that we saw in Solo, the giant space octopus thing. Everything today has just been described as looking like an octopus. They don't look anywhere near similar to the last octopus I was describing, but the giant space thing that Palpatine commands and tries to keep Vader away with in the comics. That would be a really good UCS one. We got a comment from Daniel. Episode 8 has its flaws with characters and plot, but it's definitely the best Star Wars movie from a visual perspective. I would have to agree there because some of the shots, I feel like episode 9 didn't have the time to take it in, but Canto Bite, Arcto, the visuals in episode 8 were even the stills, all the posters, going to the cinema because I went to the cinema way too much for these. I saw Clone Wars in cinema, so that was my first Star Wars movie in cinema. Not old enough to watch the prequels. Not that anyone that's watched the prequels in cinema is anywhere near old. I'm just not wisdomed enough to have. I'm just not old enough to have seen them in cinemas, which could have been a cool experience, especially seeing all the videos of it. But episode 7, I saw 3 to 5 times in cinemas. I don't exactly remember, but at least 3 times I remember it. Then Rogue One, again, I saw 3 times in cinema. The Last Jedi, I did see twice in cinema, and it's the last Star Wars movie that I'll probably ever watch twice in cinema because even nowadays, I definitely go to cinema for Star Wars. One of the only things that could get me to cinema. But seeing The Last Jedi, for The Force Awakens, it was very much the first Star Wars movie. I was going with every single friend group that wanted to see Star Wars. Hell, half of them probably didn't want to see Star Wars, but I was getting into the cinema to see Star Wars. And then for Rogue One, it was just so good. And Darth Vader, I'll be honest, Darth Vader and also the scene above Scarif. I went back just to see that a few times, and it was kind of a similar thing with any friend group that I could get to the cinema I was going with to watch. And by the time Last Jedi rolled around, I think I saw it once with family and once with friends. And I think even then, one of my friends come along when I went with family and watched it again because visually it was stunning. And I agree, it is the best visual Star Wars because it takes the best things from, Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin's storming the temple and they've got a similar scene in episode 8. That's smart to copy that over. That's a really good scene. There was a few other bits that people have picked out. Oh, but this looked like this. It took every really good shot from Star Wars and used that knowledge to then improve it for episode 8. I agree, episode 8's definitely overhated. I don't think it's hated as much now. I think because of the story went a different way to how Abrams was running it, building up to Luke, and then Luke's character. That was quite a funny opening, Last Jedi. It did hurt a little bit, but it was a little bit funny. But yeah, with movies splitting directors, I think it would have been nicer if Abrams was able to do all 3 of them, and then Rian Johnson maybe did the next 3, maybe did a KOTOR trilogy. That would be that'd be really interesting actually to get a whole trilogy on that. But just to give one director the ability to tell the whole story, I mean that's kind of what Lucas wanted from the get-go with Star Wars. There are little bits that have made final cuts, like Leia remembering her mother. That wasn't a Lucas idea in there. So there are little plot holes when you share stories between other people, but I do think they did pretty good jobs with the movies they had. All right, few comments back. Where am I? So first saw in the cinema was the 3D version of Phantom Menace. So saw it again in cinema for the 25th anniversary. That must have been really nice. I saw A New Hope in theatre in the Royal Albert Hall, which is a massive hall in London, and that was with a live orchestra. And if you ever get the opportunity, I saw recently they were doing it in, I think it was across Europe. They were doing Star Wars in theatre again. And if you ever get the opportunity to see Star Wars in theatre with a live audience, definitely do it. I saw A New Hope, wanted to go back for Empire Strikes Back. That was when COVID hit. So Empire Strikes Back, I think they started doing it and then stopped it, and then Return of the Jedi, as far as I'm aware, never came back to the Royal Albert Hall, which is my favourite of the original trilogy. So even missing out on Empire, which I'd love to see Empire. I'd love to see all of them, and especially then go to the prequels and sequels. Seeing it with a live audience, really, really cool. Rogue One, I saw several times. Rogue One, I think, definitely was off the hype of Force Awakens, because I believe Rogue One was earlier in the year. Force Awakens was Christmas. I think all the sequels were Christmas, but I think Rogue One and Solo were in May. So few months, and these first few months, we're basically at the end of January. January has flown by. It doesn't really drag on for me, and I don't know if that is because I'm spending my time building Lego and talking to all of you awesome people sat watching this stream with me, but it does tend to fly by really, really quickly. And before you know it, we're going to be at May talking about, well, we're going to be talking about May Lego before May. So May's going to fly over. We're going to have a ton of Lego Star Wars sets. Let's not wish away our time too quickly. But I think it was off the back of The Force Awakens. Just the hype for Star Wars was still going strong, pretty much up to The Last Jedi. The reason I bought a PlayStation was because of Battlefront 2 and the story on it. Would I have bought it anyway? Probably, but I pre-ordered it. I think it was like October. It was a few months before Christmas that come out, and played through the game the first night I downloaded it. I think it took a night to download the game, and then that second night, home from school, straight on that game, played through the storyline. And then they released, like a month later, just before the movie came out, a part 2, which led straight into it. Really, really awesome time. But can't imagine watching a film multiple times in the cinema. Honestly, I don't think I ever would again, because now we've got something like Disney Plus. Even back in the day, it would have been DVD, Blu-ray, or something like Sky Cinema. I would have had it on not too long after. So it definitely was, for the moment, going with, like I said, it was also going with those multiple friend groups. My friend group was, well, it wasn't a group, multiple groups, because they were so split. So I got to see it with everyone else and have basically the same conversation with everyone, which is almost similar to recording it, putting it up on the internet, and having a bunch of different people view it. I guess it's that conversation of topic, which is purely why I like making YouTube videos, to have all these conversations in the comments. But nowadays, it be coming to Disney Plus in few months. I think typically it's like 45 days, so we'll say 2 odd months, and there's just no real reason to pay that much to see it in cinemas when it's going to come to something like Disney Plus. I'm already paying for Disney Plus. I don't think that will ever change unless they do it too. I've just seen right at the bottom, Rogue One was Christmas, so it must have just been a full year of me being excited for it. But the Irish tourism industry did well from episode 8. Skellig Michael, that would be something cool that I looked into doing at the time. Unrealistic. I never would have went there. But all of the problems caused by that as well was a bit. It would be nice to go to a location they filmed for Star Wars, but I think tourism, it's the same reason I'd love to visit the lake house from Naboo in the real world, the actual location they shot it at. But the tourism there is just a little out of hand. Cinemas are so much more expensive as well. That's a good point, Daniel. They are very, very expensive. I mean, what that would have cost me, it was probably no more than like a fiver or so. I don't even know if it was a fiver, because we probably went during like a week off school whenever Vue had their cheap tickets, which typically were like $1.99 back in the day. But So even if I watched it like 5 times, it would have cost me a tenner. I don't think I'd be able to get into a Star Wars movie now for like a tenner. I think it probably cost that per ticket, but they are. I think they're also getting expensive because less people are going. It's not just a case of whacking up prices for the sake of it, but it is a shame that less people are going, so they're whacking up prices, but then in turn, less people are going to the cinema. Therefore, prices go up again, and it's a bit of a Netflix where you see this big drop off in people subscribing just because of how much they're charging for a cinema ticket. But hopefully when the new Star Wars comes out, I'm sure there'll probably be some sort of Disney Plus thing reintroduced by then for the watch straight away, like they did with Black Widow. Bit of problem around that, but they would have learned from that. And I can see something like Star Wars really generating so much money straight through Disney Plus. Maybe they could do something like that. All right, they were always costly enough, but now so even more. And the thing with cinemas as well, it's a bit like games. So games are reasonably priced in the fact that they're still like 60 quid and haven't really changed too much. But on top of 60 quid for Outlaws or 70 quid, you've then got all these DLCs for Han, not for Han, for Lando, for Jabba, and a few other missions here and there. And they should really be included in the full game, whereas cinemas are making money off concessions like food, drink, and all that. So you'd think they'd be able to tone down prices a little bit and just increase the prices for popcorn, maybe. But like now, don't go to cinema unless I really want to, as I know I'll see it on Disney Plus. That is exactly my thoughts. That's going to be the same with Brave New World. Looks amazing. But to get me and my partner alone to the cinema to see that, let alone family and friends, it's going to cost so much. We're already paying for Disney Plus. I can wait. I'm more than happy to wait. I'm waiting for a ton of Lego sets to go on sale. I can definitely wait for it to come on Disney Plus. But my partner's just chimed in. Need a loan for a Tango, Ice Blast. A lot of things as well, like snacks. You can go into a store, pick them up so much cheaper than cinema. You also don't need to travel. Travel isn't that expensive, but where I live, prices for the bus have just gone up from £2 to £3, which isn't a lot for one person. Even for two people, you know, that's an extra 2 quid there, 2 quid back. But if you're going with a group, say there's 5 of you, that's already an extra tenner. Then you add on what the cinema charge, it's just getting to be a lot of money. So, you know, invite a few friends or family members over, put it on the TV, you know, you got your snacks, you're in the comfort of your own home as well, and you're also saving a lot of money you can eventually go out and spend on Lego sets, which perhaps you can build whilst watching the movie on Disney Plus. And better yet, if you want to watch the movie again, this is just a walking, talking advertisement for Disney Plus, but you can watch it as many times as you like. The only reason I'd go to cinema is for that first experience. A new Star Wars movie comes out, you're sat in the cinema, lights go off, dun, 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 and the music kicks in. I'm not going to hum too much, just in case I'm so good that I get copyright striked. But oh, we just got a comment. I only go to cinema because otherwise I know I'll get spoiled. Exactly. Having to wait that little bit, which is another thing that really pushed me to go to the cinema for the Star Wars movies, because I knew if I didn't, it would be everywhere. So I went day one, and then, you know, maybe a couple times before, a couple times after that as well. They filmed some other locations for Star Wars, for sequels, for in Ireland too, like Mullinhead in Inishowen, Donegal, Browhead in West Cork, and Looperhead in County Clare. There's definitely quite a few other little locations as well around Ireland, not just for Star Wars, but for other shows and that I've seen pop up. But for the village, a replica was built in the mainland near Andangian. So even one location on screen, multiple locations in real life, which does make sense. And then they've also got the extra little bits they might have needed to reshoot that may just be a blue or green screen here and there. But it is really, it's a good experience in cinemas. The problem I find is depending on what cinema you go to. So a lot of the recent cinema experience I've had have been in the Odeon, which it might be a little bit more money, and it's not that much more than the View. Two main cinemas here in the UK, View and Odeon. View's prices are creeping up to Odeon, but they do not have the comfy chairs that Odeon have. But Odeon is quite bit more high end. There's a load of cheap little cinemas, which recently I found myself going to. Load of fun events at those, but you get also a load of families with, kids that are a bit noisy, which I'm not necessarily against, because I'm able just to shut out when I'm in the cinema. And I know that does spoil it for everyone else when there's a bit of noise or something going on in the background. But again, at home, you don't necessarily have that noise unless it's the opposite and you go cinema to get out of a noisy house. But cinema experiences can't be replicated, but sometimes there is a benefit to staying home, and it's not great for a lot of the older cinemas that perhaps aren't part of a chain that are now losing and on the decline. And I've seen a load of cinemas have to sell and bring in other things as well. But something that could change in cinemas, actually, if they rented out one screen in the cinema for games, that might be pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't spend 70 odd quid on Outlaws, but 70 quid for a couple hours worth of Outlaws gameplay on a cinema screen, the lag's going to be a massive problem. Hopefully they can sort that out somehow. But just sitting there with a game, and then people can come in, just watch, games being played, something like that. That would be pretty cool. I mean, to be able to do a live stream with a cinema screen, it could genuinely be, I know it's all fun and games, but it could genuinely be a way to keep cinemas. I'm sure they're not struggling anywhere near that much, but it could be a fun way for cinemas to make a little bit extra money. Just loan it out to people to play games, and bring your own console and everything, but just plug it up to the cinema monitor, and you'd have to sit back for that. That'd probably hurt your eyes. But sitting in front of a monitor, absolutely fine. Sitting in front of a cinema screen, jury's still out on that decision. But I think I would definitely be. Oh, there you go. Daniel's cinema near them got replaced with an Audi. That's quite a good buy for Audi, mind you, because cinemas take up a lot of space. But there you go. At a library, the Threlius Blue used to go to, they had a TV with Minecraft on it where people could go play and you could donate. That is really, really good, because not only would you get people, I mean, obviously a cinema renting out a room, they'd have to charge for it. You probably would get a load of people donating consoles, games, and stuff like that. That would be really, really fun to do. Captain Price, that's fun. It is hopefully going to be, but it would be really, really fun to just go in, play games on a massive screen. And you'd also get a load of a younger audience there as well for the game aspect of it, because like I said, games are very cinematic, and instead of going to the cinema to see a story, I'm trying to think of a game they've made into a movie recently. A lot of them have been TV shows, but if they make a movie on KOTOR, rather than going to the cinema and paying so much to see the story, I guess it's different because it would be the story's already been told, as opposed to a movie that's fairly new, like the new one that they're doing past episode 9. But for something like a KOTOR remake, instead of going to the cinemas and paying quite a bit for it, you can go on YouTube. You're already here on YouTube, thankfully, and find someone who's played the game, which that's a very good idea for a future live stream. If I run out of Lego sets to build at any point, definitely be revisiting KOTOR. But people play the game, you get the full story, the full experience, and you also get to watch someone, which, if you don't have someone to play with, KOTOR's a horrible example, but if you don't have someone to play with, some games are more fun watching other people play in groups and that. Again, not KOTOR. It doesn't really work. I don't think KOTOR even allows multiplayer. So if they are bringing out another game, that would be something really fun to add. But you can watch it on YouTube for free. That's the point I'm getting at. It's absolutely free to watch things on YouTube. Even streams like this, you can do members only content, but most people will play it just out to the public, and you don't have to charge for that. YouTube is free to download. Again, you've got the members only stuff that some people do, but there will always be someone that's done it for free that you can watch from the comfort of your own home on a TV or really anything. And yeah, Daniel, I'm with you. I'm waiting for that KOTOR remake. I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully Hopefully it comes sometime. That's fun. Life is a movie. Twitch users, they buy it up. Oh, fair enough. FNAF? FNAF. Oh yeah, the FNAF movie, of course. Hype style. Ireland, the All Ireland GA finals and the annual Late Late Toy Show are sometimes shown in some cinemas. That's quite good, where they have an event that I think it was Doctor Who here in the UK that I know is on BBC, not BBC, is on Disney Plus worldwide. I'm hoping that comes to Disney Plus because it's a lot cheaper getting a Disney Plus subscription than a TV license. But one of the Doctor Who finales or the first episodes was at a few different cinemas up in London. And that's really good to get people watching a show because some people will watch it by themselves. Not everyone's going to be into the same stuff, even if you live together. I've been quite lucky because me and my fiance watch pretty much we have a few odd own shows. I mean, the only thing I'm watching, I think, without her is the animated Batman series. I haven't watched an episode for, I don't even think Prime will tell me the last episode I've watched just because it's been that long since I've watched any sort of episode. But yeah, I'm really awful at trying to watch things when it's by myself. Unless it's Star Wars, in which case it's like straight out, all right, I know what we're watching today. But yeah, there's definitely grab popcorn, chess, Lego style. The KOTOR remake is, I think it kind of sets the precedent for where we are at the minute with Star Wars. There's a lot promised, but there's not a lot actually coming out. We had the Patty Jenkins movie, which was, I don't know if I should be doubling up on this build. I feel like 2 legs, it makes sense, but they might not be symmetrical. So we'll hold off right now. But Rogue Squadron, nothing on Rogue Squadron. And we've had a few different projects show up. We're still waiting for the Lando show, which apparently, according to rumors as of a couple of weeks ago when I last Googled about it, is still in the works. It's just taking a bit of time. And I know there was a little bit of issues allegedly with scheduling, I think, of people being available or something. But the point stands, we're waiting for so much from Star Wars. Star Wars Celebration could announce 5 movies, 5 shows. I don't think they will announce too much. They'll probably give more progress reports on what they have announced previously. But since 2019, we have been waiting on so much content, and there was a pandemic, global pandemic in the middle of that. So maybe it's not all entirely Disney's fault. And there's also a few like writer strikes and that as well. So there are things that have happened. So 6 years, 5 years might seem like a lot. It's not as lot. It is still meant to be Donald Glover playing with a Billy D. Williams voiceover for the Lando show, that is. But it does feel like we are waiting. We're just waiting for Star Wars at this point. And Lego are doing really well with it, I will say. We're getting one set on Andor, one set on, well, we got a few Ahsoka sets. That was really nice. But we're getting sets here and there for the new content. It probably would be better for Lego if they were releasing more. But it is something that we're waiting for so much, and we're not really getting we're not really getting any content from Star Wars. We are getting content, but in terms of movies especially, they're waiting for this Mando movie, which we've now wrapped up as of Mandalorian Season 3, the first phase of the Mandoverse. And I feel like that's where the movie is going to pick up on. Skeleton Crew might play into effect a little bit, especially because they've got it out so quick, but I think Skeleton Crew was probably for the next leg of it, because where Mando Season 3 ended was really, really well. A movie made sense. It's been put back from this year. I don't know if anyone else has any more updates. I don't follow this as much, but I'm pretty sure the Mando movie is meant to come out in like 3 years' time. Something like that. It's not too soon, but it's also not too far away when you consider, a movie about 3-4 years is how long a movie takes to make. Daniel wants more Andor sets. I want more Andor sets, and I'm sure everyone wants more Andor sets because we got one from the first series, but this is the last chance. is it the last chance? We could, I suppose, perhaps it's not the last chance. We could get something else that like name drops Andor, or Lego could, if they wanted to, in 10 years' time for the anniversary of Andor and the anniversary of everything, could come out with more Andor sets. But now's not only the time to get Andor sets, but also a Galen Erso minifigure, the only minifigure from Rogue One that I wanted and Lego didn't give us. But Rogue One sets in general, now's the time to give us some Rogue One sets. Andor, K2SO, at least we could get like another Krennic as well. The Krennic minifigure's pretty cool, but I think some dual molded legs would go a long way. Oh, next year, coming out just after Doomsday. Oh, Doomsday is closer than I thought as well. I thought maybe I've got the years wrong. I had it written down somewhere. Probably it is a 6. And all these movies I think are going to be far off in the distance. But Mando movie next year. So until next year, I don't see any updates for Ahsoka, for Boba. And in that time, I know we've got April is Andor and May maybe is Visions. I don't think that's confirmed anywhere, but I do think that the last few were definitely around May. Who knows? With everything I've been saying, perhaps that's around Christmas too. I think Visions comes out usually May 4th, and I'm not entirely sure if it's all at once or not, but they'll probably try to spread it out. But that gives a lot of space at the end of the year and next year for a celebration announcement for Lando, the series, to perhaps fill out towards Christmas at the end of the year. That could tie in pretty well with, I was going to say other shows around that time of year. I think that's the time of year we've got Boba Fett around Christmas. So it's not really Christmassy, but it's a nice show that you could probably sit down with family and watch because of the Billy D. Williams narration over the Donald Glover portrayal. It's as close to a movie as we're getting. Hello there, Kid Wonder Stories, back from lunch. How was lunch? Just talking about other, rumours. New U-Wing would be class. There is rumours, according to Daniel. If rumours are rumours. If it doesn't happen, we're not going to hold Daniel responsible. But if it does happen, Daniel's basically the person behind the set. So I think they should get all the credit. They're making one for Andor Season 2. A U-Wing would be really cool because they could include a few Rogue One characters and, squeeze a few other named figures in that set just because of how well it would do. But I think in terms of Star Wars would probably want more accurate minifigures as opposed to just, random characters for a set to sell even better. So I think the heads at Star Wars might have something to say if they whack a few random characters in there. Basically, that's basically clickbaiting, but for Lego. It'd be like if I made a video about a set coming out and whacked a bunch of unrelated characters in. They just put these characters in a set. It would work in Star Wars' favor. So they might allow it because, if, I guess they can't use Jyn Erso, but they whack another character from, maybe they can add, Baze Malibus. I forget his name, but the guy with the big gun and I think that would be really, really cool. And everyone would think, oh, this person's confirmed for Star Wars. Watch the show, every episode, waiting for this character to appear, and nothing, just because they were in, a random Lego set. I think that would be quite funny. Not everyone would take it that way. I definitely think that would be class. You insert 3 sandwiches for lunch. Oh, what was in the sandwiches? Just plain, or was it like a triple-decker Scooby snack size sandwich? That'd be fun. Daniel missed out on the first U-Wing set, so I hope the rumors are true as well. As far as Rogue One, I got the Scarif beach set, which is where these minifigures down here are from, and then I think the blue armed one was a bonus May figure as well that came on a little stand. The patrol troopers are unrelated. I just had that extra display to display them there. But definitely would like to get some more Rogue One minifigures. I think they covered all the figures. There's some costumes we could have got. But cheese, cucumber, and onion. Oh, that sounds really nice. Oh, I made another mistake. Should do a montage of these streams where I just show all the different mistakes I make. But I wouldn't have enough time to post videos a week if I was trying to find all of those. One of them, not 2. But hopefully Andor Season 2 comes with a few sets, not just the one. And I know we've got a few other rumored sets. I think as far as the rumored sets go, oh, Daniel got the Scarif Beach too. It's the only Rogue One set. I think that was a really cool one for all the reasons that make the Kenobi set not as cool. And I think it's sets like Scarif that I picked up that had that. There was a play feature. I think that was the one with the drawer underneath the front that had the weapons and the explosives in. And then it had the barrel, which was the original. I had it here somewhere. Oh no, I've lost it. No, here it is. It was the original Mando crate. The crate we got in the Mandalorian ambush. It was like that, but in bright orange. And I thought that was really, really cool. I had that, even after taking down Scarif, I had that and the tree from it built for such a long time on this little like round plate for it. But I really like the beach, actually. That might be another set we can revisit closer to Andor. There's so much room for other sets that link into Rogue One and other Star Wars movies. I mean, Star Wars movies in general link to other Star Wars movies. So there'll be so many sets, I'm sure. Lego have probably got up this board of different ships that they can make that Star Wars has given them. And they only had room to like pick one or two because of all of the other 18 plus sets. As I say, Empire Strikes Back anniversary. It is Revenge of the Sith's anniversary. And The Force Awakens. Force Awakens is the big one. No, Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens. 20 years of Revenge of the Sith, 10 years of The Force Awakens, and then 45 of Empire Strikes Back. We'll probably wait till 50, but with news of the AT-AT pilot helmet, possible Kylo Ren helmet, as spoken first by us. I can't remember who said that earlier on, but it was one of us that said that. If that comes to pass, we take all credit for that as well. And yeah, it would be nice to get a helmet of Grievous, just a Grievous head. Just want a Grievous head, not even a helmet. And that's purely because I've seen them all on Rebrickable now, so I know what can be done. Will it be done? We'll have to wait and see. Play the long waiting game. Hey, if you're watching Star Wars, watching Space Battles, my favourite character, Puke Night Runner, Queen Paya and Pan Swolo. Oh, Swolo's like that meme of the buffed up characters. Pewbacca, R2PO, and C3D2. It's like the combination of the two. I did see the images of the AT-AT driver helmet. Yes, we were speaking about it earlier. The dish looks really cool, but the image I saw was like a render on a desk. Very, very fuzzy. Probably before the high quality one got racked up or whacked up on Reddit, racked up on Reddit. But it looked like on the front of the helmet, the studs were showing where something had been taken off. And I couldn't quite work out. It was very, very blurry, this image. So I couldn't work out if that was perhaps a printed pattern, but it looked like some exposed studs where a play or maybe it was just a tar one. That was all I was missing. But it did look like something was missing from the front of the helmet. So hopefully we can get some more images, especially because Lego.com have a 360 and I have convinced myself that there's going to be some sort of latch in the back. I can't remember what I said would be inside the helmet. I want some minifigures in the helmet, but I think I said that there'd be a latch at the back of the helmet that either came down or opened up to the side and then revealed two pilots reenacting a scene of like AT-ATs. It was something like that. I said it earlier on in the stream, but I do think that would be really cool if they added some sort of interior into these helmets, because there's room for a minifigure, and we see it with Disney sets. We see it with basically every other theme that they add little spaces for characters and that. What's my favorite Marvel set? Oh, I do like the Spider-Man sets. I think I'd probably say right now, top of my head, the Daily Bugle. How big that is. All of the characters it comes with, like Daredevil, Punisher, Firestar, all of those characters were just really cool to see on the top of the box when I first saw it on display, I think, in a Lego store. My favorite Marvel set or DC that I own, I don't think I have any Marvel sets built. I might have a set built and just not be aware. I do quite like the mechs. I got the Wolverine mech, I got the Hulk mech, I got the Thor mech, and I also got the Miles Morales mech. Hopefully I'm not missing anyone out. But I did like the mechs and the fact that you could combine them. I didn't combine them as Lego would do, but I did pull them apart and use parts to improve the other ones and do a little bit of that. And that was quite fun to do. But as far as Marvel or DC, I think DC's got a lot to offer. We spoke about that last week. But, oh no, actually, yes, 100% agree with you. The Milano. That's all the Guardian ships, actually. The third one, or the third movie one, could have been a bit more, but not the playset. The Milano, I think, is from the first movie. I think it's the Milano. I never remember the second one, unless that's the Milano. And then there's the Bowie, or the Bowie, which I think is the third one. But the UCS one, the same style as the Quinjet, I was so close to buying that. But I've got nowhere to display a Star Wars ship that, well, not after the Ghost and the Gunship, let alone a Marvel ship. But I saw that in Smith's, and it wasn't on sale. It probably had like 10, 20 quid off. And I stood there. That and the Daily Bugle as well. I think the Smiths one time only had the Daily Bugle off 60 quid or something. I think it's a couple £100. So it's probably something like 50, 60 quid. And I was so close. I stood at it, staring. I was like, nowhere to put it. Not really the funds to spend on that and not do any sort of content on it to try and recoup a bit of what I've spent. But I could buy it. I could. I was tempted, but I didn't. The Milano, the Benetton, and the Bowie, yeah. The Milano, the UCS style Milano. And the Quinjet, actually. The Quinjet looks really, really cool. I think the Quinjet was, again, missing. That might have had Hawkeye. That missed one of the Avengers. The Marvel sign, which I don't think we've spoke about, actually. The Marvel sign that came out start of the year. We're rumoured to get a Star Wars one. Ever since it started getting closer to May, we've been less rumoured to get a Star Wars one, but I think we are still expecting to get some form of Star Wars logo set, so that could be quite interesting. But j'ai une question. How do you get... Oh, I started reading that in not English, and then that completely melted my mind. How do I get views? Posting. I'm afraid it's not as easy as that. It's not easy, but can I tell you the most silliest thing I've done to a clone trooper? As long as it's allowed on YouTube, I don't see why that would be a problem. But the Milano, really, really good. Even the Bowie with the ship that had the little like escape pod, or the smaller ship that broke out from it, even though it wasn't to scale and you couldn't fully cover the minifigure, the 3 Guardian ships look really, really cool. I think, nope, we haven't. I thought we finished the leg, but I've realised we don't have a leg for it. We've finished a foot, and now the game is a leg. We are making progress. As it approaches the 2-hour mark, I will have to switch over microphones at some point. So I'm going to keep my eyes on that. One by one, black tile in the helmet to be hair, and it got stuck. Oh no, I've actually done that with a lot of... I'm going to pick a clone trooper that actually has a head on it now. I think this one... Nope. That one's got a head on it. All right, whilst I'm looking, let's read a few more of these. Best deal I got on Lego. This is Daniel's deal. Was in a Tesco. That's where I got all the... I think that's where I got all the Marvel mechs, actually, on there. Either 2 for 20... No, 2 for 20s, 2 for 15s, or it was some sort of Tesco club card deal. 2011 City Space Shuttle, half price for like a tenner, just after it come out. I got the best deal I got on Star Wars. I mean, I can't top that on Lego. That is the 2011 Space Shuttle. I think, was that the one that opened up and had the little satellite interior? If I'm remembering that correctly. But my best deal I got on anything Star Wars was a Tesco. It was when Fallen Order come out in store. They were doing an offer that was, I think it came out £60. It might have been £50, but it was £20 off the bat for picking it up with something or as part of some sort of deal. And then I had a voucher as well, which got another like £20 off. So it went from £60, maybe £64, something like that, all the way down to £20. I think technically I ended up paying like £18.99, something like that for it. I can't remember the exact price. But that was for Fallen Order on the PS4. And that, I mean, yeah, gift vouchers, but it's basically like free money gift vouchers. So that was really cool. But that half price just after coming out on a Lego set. City, okay, Star Wars is impossible, but City, that's still pretty good for how soon that was. I meant to ask, when you built the Onyx Cinder, did you get it on discount? So I picked mine up. I missed out on, there was, I think Smiths had it for 80. No, Smiths, I don't think it was £85. This is quite some time ago. I think this was around Black Friday. They had it reduced, I think, to £100, but you could get an extra £20 off through just spending money with Smiths at the time on Lego. There was some sort of discount. Didn't get it on that, but I did get it for £85, and I got it through Very, actually, because I hadn't purchased anything through Very. That Clone Trooper isn't going to work. I don't know if any of these clones do, but the point I was getting at is some of these don't have clone heads, so I could give some of my customs cloned heads. And to replace the clone head, I've actually put 2 black studs underneath, which looks funny because it looks like the helmet's just floating. But I got my Onyx Cinder for £85 from Very. The delivery was pretty good. It actually came pretty wrapped up. I think it was wrapped up in a box, then wrapped up again. So a little bit wasteful, but definitely protected. The box was pristine. I've actually still got the box because it's a really handy tray. But yeah, it was 80. No, I think the set is £125, which is where I'm getting confused. And I got it for £80, 79.99, because it was just over a third off, which would have been like £45 off. So I think I did get it for £80 for the set. Absolutely smashing till. Could have included an SM33, but you know what? We'll let Lego have that one minifigure, and hopefully in the future we can get a full cast. But I guess because SM33 is probably a droid, and they didn't want to add another minifigure after the Hyang debacle, and you know, people are going to want droids, people are going to want minifigures. It might have been a smart play. Lego probably didn't give us SM because they knew customs companies would make them, and people are paying that much for a minifigure. Those people are definitely going to be buying the set, and for £80, you just can't do any wrong. Got it out with a push pin. Actually, using one of the Technic pins is a good idea. What I usually do, which isn't the best at all, you know, you can probably use the brick separator. I don't know if the axle's long enough to get in the helmet, but what I normally do if I get a stud caught in a minifigure's helmet is I get a stack of studs to try and get it out. And so far, it hasn't wronged me. I haven't like got 2 studs stuck in there at all, but I can see that definitely going wrong. If the stud ends up snapping, it's just going to make it so much harder, especially if it snaps. I don't think there's any way of getting it out with some sort of pin or otherwise. But, oh, is that? No, that's good. Is it? Yeah, I think that's right. We'll soon find out. But I use 2 whenever I need a minifigure head for something and they're in a helmet. Usually I use the actual torso and legs from a minifigure as opposed to just taking out the head of one. But if I do need the head or want to have a few heads, I've got a whole drawer of these clone heads where I've got so many on my display down to my left, your right. I've got a whole drawer full. You kind of see, you see the angry clone heads at the bottom and then a row of the clone trooper heads on top. And they fill that drawer just in case I need them for other clone mocks or clone customs, especially with all the legions that Lego haven't made. There are a ton of different clones we can be picking up. So always handy to have a few on hand, basically on tap with how many I've got. But with deals, Lego's very hard to get deals on recently. I've definitely found that change over the years. But when you do get a deal, it's just one of the best feelings. Even though, you know, you're not really I'm not really saving money because I'm spending it on a set, but I had to not pull the trigger on a Falcon. Literally last night I was looking at it again about the Dark Falcon because that looks like such a good Lego set, and I'm so close to just spending, I think that was reduced to 115 somewhere, because usually it's about 120. I saw it for 115. So close to splashing out on it. And you know, next week we are going to be building the Acclamator rather than the Dark Falcon, but hopefully some point soon we'll have the Dark Falcon, especially in a few months' time. It tends to be when I get some of the bigger Lego sets. Oh, what? Where? Oh, I never put that in. The other day I had a horrible accident. Oh no, the hips of my old Sith trooper snapped. Right after that, the legs to an old Captain Marvel broke, not to mention the Plo Koon with the snapped arm. I've seen actually a load of older customs, like Clone Army customs and that. I saw one of them where a new figure snapped. That was, just accidents happen sort of thing. But I've seen a load of custom minifigures being snapped on a few different like Reddit pages, and that I always find myself, for as much as I say I'm never on Reddit, recently I found myself on Reddit a lot, and it's nothing to do with like leaks or anything like that, which used to be back in the day, but it's Blender. I've been doing a lot more Blender for my custom minifigures and trying to find out just the little shortcuts. It's not even big tasks, it's little shortcuts and things that I should really have written down. I've got most of them written down, but it's just easier searching it on Reddit. And the thing with customizing minifigures, as well as, swapping them in and out, which thankfully with a lot of my older clones, I used to do it to 17 years ago. They're still holding up. 17 years is a long time. I'm staring at two of them right now. I always swap the arms from white to red to white to red, and the torsos haven't cracked to the old clone troopers, but it's definitely a risk you take, which is why Lego don't opt to do it for any sets or don't force you to do it at all. But also with custom printed companies, if you're upgrading the legs or if you're upgrading anything else, there's always that chance that the Lego is going to break down, especially if it's just ABS. If it's not Lego standard bricks, they are going to be a little weaker, and every time they're stood as part of some mock or every time they're used in some way, there is that risk of breaking. And thankfully a lot of these clone troopers are really, really cheap, but if that was an expensive minifigure, I wouldn't like to think how I'd feel about that, because it's just not great when it happens, let alone have I put this in upside down? I put this in completely upside down. But yeah, when it's an expensive minifigure, it's just not good at all. Where'd that bit go? Alright, let's got it out with a push pin. Got that one the other day. Yes, downside to customizing minifigures. Yeah, the more it's customized, the more risk there is at it falling apart. But at the same time, it's really fun to customize minifigures, so sometimes it is worth it. Do I agree with people just destroying fake Lego? Oh, no, not the Lego. Yes, it's terrible, but can't the YouTubers who destroy them at least donate them? Definitely. I think it depends what they're doing to destroy them, because I've seen a few different people. There was a really fun video. I don't know the YouTuber, and I tend not to stick around because I like all the video. Like if someone else has watched it and it gets recommended to me, there's a good chance I'll probably enjoy it and have a good laugh. But done that. Hey, but so I go off recommendations anyway. But there was a YouTuber who built a whole stack. There was a cheap Friends set or something like that, and they built a whole tower of them and then watched as it collapsed when they got to like the most they could build without it falling over. And I think that is really, really fine. That's, Lego's gonna drop. It might crack a piece here and there, but then you can donate the rest of it. But if, Sledgehammer or those videos, the satisfying videos of the giant hydraulic press that just comes crashing down, if you're doing that to even off-brand bricks, maybe they are better to be donated. But if they're paid for it, I guess they can do what they like. Even fake Lego, though, it might work differently to Lego, but I'm of the mind, as long as it's not bad, like Lego do own a few different licenses. If it's a knockoff Star Wars set, that seems to be the popular thing at the minute. Buy in like AliExpress Lego sets, and it's clearly a knockoff. You're buying a new set for a fraction of the price, and it's just because it's made with non-Lego bricks. And some of them, yeah, are cool, but I do feel sorry for the Lego designer that has put so much time and effort into. I mean, I put so much time and effort into a lot of the mocks I build. I'm sure Lego put a lot more time and effort into the sets they build, but it's not great for the original designer of the mock, which is why I try to, for these ships, just build and buy Lego sets. However, I do have other sets. That's probably not the safest thing to get down, like the droid carrier and like the old set that I rebuilt, the Home One set that I built with the bricks that I got sent for a sponsored video. Really, really fun. Bricknut, they've got some really, really good things in the works as well, and they keep rolling out extra features, so I'm definitely keeping my eyes on there. But in terms of new sets, this has gone off a bit from destroying Lego, but I definitely think those style of videos, I think I have more of a problem with the people buying the knockoff Lego Star Wars sets, not knockoff sets as in, you know, non-Lego bricks, but knockoff sets as in paying a fraction of the price for the exact same design as a Lego set. As far as destroying bricks, it definitely hurts. I can't watch a video if they're cracking bricks, but sometimes the ones where they build something silly sized and it topples over, that is quite fun to watch. What's the biggest set I own? Yours is the Cantina. Well, mine's the Cantina. It's about stretches from that side of the unit, so you can picture this section and then another one, all the way up to probably the top drawer on this, because I've parted mine. Actually, it probably is used in this shelf somewhere, because I parted mine out. The biggest set I have built is probably the playset 8080 or 80TE. The 80TE is longer and wider. The 8080 is taller but doesn't have its full length legs. I've also got the Home One built, not using Lego, and I actually think the 80TE is probably similar size to the Home One. I guess I built a Hogwarts using my fiance's Lego, and I did buy my fiance the Disney Castle as well, if that counts. Disney Castle's probably up there. It's like the Cantina, but stretched up like a castle, and is really, really good set. There's actually another Disney Castle, again, stumbled on this the same time as the 80TE helmet, 8080 helmet even. There's also another Disney Castle coming out later on this year, which is going to be real interesting because we've already got two of them. I believe the new one is was it Beauty and the Beast Castle? I think that one's the Sleeping Beauty Castle, because that's the one that they've done a miniature of. We then got the Cinderella Castle, and now we're getting the Beauty and the Beast Castle. Thank you to my partner who's on it in chat. Beauty and the Beast Castle is the next one up. So it's going to be interesting, the minifigures we get. I think Tinkerbell is a given because, you know, the whole over the castle, not Tinkerbell, but it does look like Tinkerbell, and everyone seems to remember a Tinkerbell there. So I think they, I don't really know. I definitely remember Tinkerbell going over the castle, and the fact that it's just the start, it looks close enough to Tinkerbell, the whole fairy thing, but Tinkerbell's probably a given. I don't know about the other minifigures. What's the biggest set you own? Disney Castle, Cantina's parted out, Home One's built using off-brand bricks. The gunship. The gunship has a really wide wingspan that probably lives up to that of the Cantina. So the gunship would fit in a Cantina box. And Rex is pretty tall. That's a mock. I've built a torso and legs for the helmet. BD1's not far off that. And hopefully the Jedi Temple can be bigger than all of them. Maybe not the Disney Castle, but yeah, maybe that would cover a few too many minifigures. Maybe as wide as the Disney Castle. Kid Wonder Stories made their own custom alien character from Star Wars called Ekiwawa. It looks good in Lego, but don't know about in Star Wars. That's a big step going from Lego to Star Wars, because I mean, a lot of characters fit in the mini, if you're building them as minifigures, they fit in the minifigure scale, especially if they're humanoid to any degree, even like Kaminoans, Wookiees, and that work well. But then going into Star Wars form, that can mean so much. You can be so very different. Lego should make more IRL castle sets for architecture sets. Dracula's castle. I'm just putting that out there. Dracula's castle would look really cool. And I think they should probably make them similar to the, what else have they done? The postcards. Not really like the postcards, but they're coming out with a load of fountains. We actually got a new Lego set announced today, about an hour before this stream, and this tab, the French Cafe for £70, coming soon on March the 1st. I probably won't do a video on it because it looks like a gift with purchase with a lot more detail, and it's probably worth that money. I'm looking at some of the elements included in just the front of this, and this looks really, really cool. Especially the chairs use the same piece as a load of the weapons do in Ninjago, and I think it's the Droideka base, at least the one that I used for the Droideka base. But if we could get some of the little castles, like the Sleeping Beauty castle that Lego did for Disney, Edinburgh Castle. I got a stamp of Edinburgh Castle, actually. They did Christmas stamps with it. That's another one that would be really, really cool to get in that almost helmet size build, because they could make it a little bit cheaper, more affordable, but still pack the detail of something like the Notre Dame Cathedral. That was really, really good. They've done a few smaller architecture sets. I guess something in the middle would be like the White House, which was quite a long build, but that was still quite relatively small and relatively cheap. Something like that would be really, really cool to see from Lego. But what else we got? It's like imagining live action Ninjago characters. Yeah, to be fair, live action Ninjago characters, especially some of the ones they fight against as well, like the snake creatures. Do the snake creatures have smaller arms? That's how I sort of picture them coming over, with smaller arms, so they're mostly a snake body, but they do just like a snake head on a human torso is really, really weird thought. But never tell if it's the one with a pinhole or not. I think we'll go with the pinhole. I probably have more of these to make up the difference if they're not. Am I doing streams in March? Yes, I'm aiming to do streams, honestly, pretty much forever. I do know what that was. I'm hoping to do streams every single Saturday of this year, going through to the end. There's some, I think the Saturday after Valentine's, I'm unable to do on this channel, but I am still hoping to do streams every Saturday throughout the year. Coming up to Christmas, we'll see about Christmas. Last year, Christmas is always packed, but it's still January. This is the last stream of January, actually. We've made it through January of live streams, which is really, really nice. It's scary to think we're a 12th through the year in terms of live streams, which, I'm not sure anyone accepts live streams as currency yet, but when they do, we've already made it to 4, but it is... I hope to be streaming every Saturday of the year. I think it's in the channel banner, and I'll try to stick to that best I can. They're making a live action Ninjago movie. I tell you what, Ninjago would get me to the cinema. Would it be in the cinema? Yeah, it would have to be in the cinema, and it would probably... I don't know where the Lego Batman movie is. If any of you know where the Lego Batman movie is, feel free to let me know in the chat. But I definitely think a Lego movie would get me back into the cinema, because I watched the Lego movie, both of them in cinemas, and they're really, really fun. But the characters, we do it on the 15th of March. Is the 15th of March a Saturday? If so, I hope so. I mean, I'm not sure I can promise anything. Hopefully nothing goes on. 15th of March is a Saturday. Let me just double check my schedule, see if it's not blacked out yet. It seems to be good. I probably will be streaming on the 15th of March. What happens on the 15th of March? But with Ninjago, Primark a few years ago, shop here in the UK. I don't know if they are worldwide. I don't really know if they are outside the UK, but they had some really cool Ninjago merch, like pajamas, casual t-shirts, all of it in the kids line. Now, if Lego were to sell, because I've seen some of the prices of the Lego Christmas merch, if they were to sell some Ninjago merch, I probably wouldn't pay like 20 quid a shirt. But because this was Primark, they were really, really cheap. And if only I fit into kids' sizes, I would have definitely bought myself at least a top from there. Because I think that is something with, I mean, you'll notice I'm wearing a lot of custom tops. I've got this top, I've got the one telling you all to subscribe, which I'm sure you've probably already done by now. And I've got, I think there's another custom top I've got. Oh, Maul and Ahsoka fighting over a Lego brick. But if Lego made some more merch, I think I would probably have a field day with it. And I know they've already got a few like typical Lego tops, and there are a few kids tops out there as well, which I'm sure I could probably just like cut open, sew an extra bit of material in and fit into that. But I think they do need to make some more adult tops. Oh, Kid Wonder Story's birthday's on the 15th of March. I think I know someone else with a birthday on the 15th of March. I can't remember who though, but happy pre-birthday, first off. I know it's a bit early, just in case I forget. I'll try to remember that. But I'll definitely be streaming that Saturday then. I have to put that down. Primark started in Dublin, though it's called Pennies in Ireland. Oh, makes sense because Primark clothing's actually pretty cheap and fairly durable in terms of how long it lasts as well, which it's nice that it lasts so long because I don't think Primark clothing has always been made to last. I think because of how cheap they've been making it, you know, years past, it's been quite not long lasting. So it's nice that it does last me some time. But yeah, their tops as well. All the Star Wars tops. I think they did for Empire Strikes Back. It was Empire Strikes Back. I think it might have been, if it's 45 years this year, it might have been 35 years. They did a top with like a mural on the back. A New Hope, they also had a hoodie with the whole opening crawl on the back. I love that jumper so much that I just wore it down so quickly. But it's nice when there's a lot of cheap merch possibly coming soon. We'll see about the minifigure. But I also like my colours as well, which is something that, being a Star Wars fan, is so hard when it comes to merch. We're going to have to add this to the title because this is a whole topic in itself. I tell you what, before I get to it, let me switch over my microphone. Here we go. Just in case it dies out. And this is a really important topic, so we've got to be hearing this. Started talking when my mic, when I turned my mic off, the mic didn't go off. I turned it off and then I started talking. My fiance's just put in chat, my Guardian shirt is from there too. And that is, when summer comes round, you'll probably every Saturday see me in it. I'll just keep whacking it in the wash, getting it ready for the next week's stream because that is so cool to wear. And it's also a really cool design. There were similar shirts to that from, I think all of these shirts have been from Primark. So shout out to Primark. You know, if they want to sponsor a stream and send me a really cool Ninjago top in a larger than child size, I would happily accept that. But alongside the Guardians top, it's a different material. It's not a cotton shirt. And there was, for the Rise of Skywalker, they did two tops. They did a light side and dark side in a very similar style. And I probably wore them as well till they were very uncomfortable because of the material they were. It didn't do well over time, but they were really, really cool styles of tops. And we're getting to the part where there's so few pieces, you'd think I'd be able to find them all, but there's just one little cheese slope, and I know where they are behind me, so I'm just gonna grab another one, and you know, we can put the spare pieces away after this stream. But there is some really good merch. And I think Star Wars, not specifically Star Wars do a lot of tops here and there, but get onto the color that I bought up, a lot of them are black, a lot of them are navy, a lot of them are, you know, the grey ones actually look quite cool. I've got a grey top that my in-laws got me for Christmas with Maul, Vader, Palpatine and Kylo Ren on, and it's there was another top that I saw that was very Bohemian Rhapsody, but it was black with them in white. It reminds me of that, but it's so much funner than that with a bit of text. I think it says "May the Force be with you" around it. Did I part this one out? Yes, so I parted this one out from my inventory, having already bought it so many years ago, which is how I got all the figures. And this Han minifigure we haven't spoken about yet is from a polybag from, I'm gonna say, about 10 years ago, maybe even more than 10 years ago. I bought this second hand. I thought I had the torso the wrong way around. There's a belt buckle on the back of the torso. That kind of makes sense for snow gear, but that was just really threw me off. I thought I'd flipped it. But this Han Solo is from, yeah, like a decade or so ago. And the alternate face on the back, I probably can't show, I can try and show it off. The alternate face on the back, it's not coming across very well. If you've ever got a Hagrid from Harry Potter and taken off the hairpiece for it, that is the face that's underneath. It's so cursed for a Han Solo, and I don't really know why it was, but I really like the covered face, and if you wanted a plain face, you could always nick one from another Han Solo. So this is parted out from my collection, having bought the set previously, I guess. I'm pretty sure I paid full price when this came out because I was really interested in that snowy Chewbacca. Don't regret it at all. I think you should definitely do merch. It's a great idea. Merch may be on the way. There's a video if you click on or check out, don't do both, on the channel. Even if you're watching this stream on a computer, you will see video, and if you can find out what that video is alluding to, you might get a little spoiler of something that's yet to come. But yes, merch is definitely on the way. I'll look into selling some form of this shirt as well. I'm not quite sure what I'd do for merch in terms of mocks. I could definitely do some merch for a few popular mocks. That Kenobi Delta has definitely been popular enough to get some sort of like mug at least dedicated to it. But merch is on the way, pending right now. Did you guess those characters I'm playing with? Carl Pouts and Vader. Oh, blue or brown jacket, but blue or brown jacket is very hit and miss. It's very similar to Luke's robes in Return of the Jedi because he has black robes. We've seen it in The Mandalorian, and in certain lights it does look grey, but then they've gone to make black robes for the appearance in Mando, and then when they put Luke back in the skiff set, they gave him grey robes, which I think they could have, honestly, they probably could have got away with reusing the robes from Mandalorian because it is meant to be a callback to it. Just remove the cape, and perhaps we could have got an updated design. They updated Han as well. They mirrored the torso. They flipped it so the shirt was the wrong way, which apparently there was meant to be a scene in the original Return of the Jedi where Han's shirt was the wrong way around. That was on one Reddit post that was like deep down the dark corners of the internet. But in watching a few different versions of it on Disney Plus, on Blu-ray and DVD, I couldn't find it. I don't have the original version, so maybe they did sort of white screen over his shirt. But apparently that's a cool little thing as well. And the set in general just had a few little tweaks. But yeah, Lego can't decide. It's a bit like the TIE Fighters as well, because they are black and grey, the models, but where they were on a blue screen and some of the light bouncing off them, obviously the grey Lego uses bluish anyway, so it does work well with it. But Lego used to make the black and blue TIE Fighters, and I think that would be a nice change if they come out with a black and blue TIE Fighter. We've got a load of the grey and black, just, one off. 25 years of Lego, probably 25 years of Lego Star Wars specifically was probably the best time to do it. 30 years of Lego Star Wars could be another really fun opportunity to get just a bunch of miscolored Lego sets. And you know what, across Star Wars, they could do it with other merch as well, because we get a few like the Kenner minifigures with Kenobi and his red robes, I think, which would be a really cool Lego minifigure to put in a book. But did Han shoot first, and did Papa Palpatine kill Padme? Oh, this this stream's about to get controversial. Did Han shoot first? I never thought that Han shot first because I remember they've smoothed it out a little bit, but I used to love the goal. I think I spoke about this last time on stream when my fiance was joining us, which definitely makes me sound older than I am. But we had a TV with a video player, VHS player built in, and I used to love when I was a kid, like 2, 3 years old, and watching Star Wars, which I'm not quite sure how that could have set me up politically. There's pros and cons. Thankfully, I turned out all right, but the VHS were the original, the gold edition at least, were the original copies of them. And Han not only like bounced his way over Jabba, which I always thought was funny. I never realized, I don't think I put together the fact that he just walked behind and they sort of made him go over. I always thought he had like a staircase or something to go over Jabba, but of course, Jabba originally being human, I guess that makes sense. And then you've also got Han shooting first. He sort of moves to the side and shoots. So even though it's very, very close, I always took that as Greedo shooting first. But it does make sense. Han shot first and had that reaction because Han would have shot first, which is confirmed, by the way. Han shot first, end of Solo. There's a really, really nice Easter egg. I'm not going to spoil it, but end of Solo tees up for Han shooting first. And that's kind of how they've adopted it going forward. And yeah, they did change it every single version, but Han, I think, always kind of shot first, even if the gun didn't show up first, because Han would have pulled his gun, shot, and then moved out the way for Greedo to have shot past. I'm not sure if Greedo just had a slower blaster in some of the versions, but I would say Han shot first. And they should change it to a holo projection of Jabba, then he can walk through the Tau. That would actually be genius and would make sense with Jabba. Jabba doesn't go to visit a lot, and especially with Boba being there, makes sense, I guess, Boba being the guard, but I don't think there were any Gamorreans there. There wasn't a lot of security. And Jabba being out in the open, you know, big crime lord. Projection, I really like that idea. Maybe the next time they do special editions of the original trilogy. I know Lucas did his last one, and I think there was something that technically made it so you couldn't do any more, or Disney couldn't do any more changes. But next special editions, when you know Lucas comes back and decides he wants to change something else, definitely a holo projection would be really cool. And then they can crop out Return of the Jedi, Leia remembering Padme. And plus Jabba too lazy to even get up. To be fair, I don't really see Jabba going around too much. He didn't even go forward and back. He had that little, like, I guess it was the equivalent of, you know, those wheels everyone was driving around a few years ago before a few of them started blowing up in a few places. Just, I guess they weren't as interesting. I can't remember what they were called, but those wheels, Jabba was the first one with that giant tray that just took him everywhere. And I think it's also the same tray we see on the katana, so he probably just moved on that. It would make sense for the holo projection. However, did Papa Palpatine kill Padme? Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. Do you think Palpatine killed Padme? So I'm going to throw out a few assumptions. I think this is, you know, Padme right at the end. This isn't over a course of so long. This is like a dark ritual Palpatine does to kill off Padme after Vader knocks her out, because Palpatine's a smart guy. He knows that if Padme ends up dying, Vader, Anakin's gonna blame himself, you know, a lot of hatred power and all that. So do you think that Palpatine caused Padme's death to hand? Not, you know, did Palpatine kill Padme because of what he set up? Because I think either way the answer is yes. But did Palpatine first degree murder Padme? I think the whole Padme thing is very interesting. I was doing Star Wars theories long before Lego, and I'm sure some of you probably know it because the internet has a funny way of looping people back around sometimes. But my most popular theory was to do with Padme on Mustafar, because there were so many unanswered questions. It was it was just a gold mine for different what ifs and fan theories, which I definitely took advantage of. I've still got so many listed down that I've yet to do. So maybe one day they'll get built into a what if mock, which would be something to do. I think I don't think Palpatine murdered Padme. I think it's a very, very interesting story, but I don't think he did, because I don't think Palpatine would have been that strong. I'm not sure if strength is the right word to use, but I mean, Anakin did choke her out, and that wasn't good. But I think genuinely, I can't remember what it's called now, but the whole breaking of the heart where Anakin turned to the dark and Padme was just so. Oh, it's called broken heart syndrome. I was trying to find the name for it. It's just called broken heart syndrome. Is a real thing where if someone is so heartbroken, for reasons they were unable to explain. Medically, Padme was so healthy, but for reasons they were unable to explain, she was losing the will to live. I genuinely think that is the explanation behind it. And it's interesting seeing something like that, because it was very similar. I think, obviously, I don't know too well. Oh no. I don't know too well the ins and outs of all the Star Wars cast, but something very similar with Carrie Fisher and her mum, when I think it was Carrie died and then her mum died not long after. And that genuinely could be a similar story with the whole heartbreak syndrome, because losing someone like that, I mean, Padme and Anakin were, all over each other for the Clone Wars, and they really were. I mean, they did so much for each other that, was illegal in the galaxy, and they put each other first. I really like the symbolic nature of 3PO and R2. Anakin gave, well, technically the last Homestead gifted 3PO to Anakin and Padme, and then 3PO was Anakin's droid. Anakin gifted 3PO to Padme gifting R2 to Anakin. Was really, really nice. But they really were so in love with each other that Anakin going from the hero of the Republic to suddenly the enemy of the Republic was so heartbreaking that just flat out killed Padme. She gave birth to her kids, and then that probably didn't help, actually. Giving birth to kids in a time where the Republic had just fallen, that is devastating. I could not imagine what that begins to feel like. So I think Padme did just, it's that point of the game, you've reached a hard boss and you're like, quit game, I'm gonna leave here. And yeah, you just leave. And it would have been interesting, I guess. There's an argument of, well, wouldn't she want to have stayed alive for Luke and Leia to help raise her twins? At the same point, would Anakin have not wanted to not turn to the dark side for the sake of his twins that were inside the woman he just choked out? I don't really think the characters were thinking too much in Revenge of the Sith. And, the whole plot armor of they had to get to A New Hope eventually, so things did have to happen in a certain way. But it could have been a very different story had Padme survived and then raised at least Leia. Even if Luke went to the Lars because, they couldn't find out that twins had survived. So Padme went under an alias and raised, perhaps Padme went to Alderaan and raised Leia and then died fighting for the Republic. There's a few plot holes that, as the story pans out the way it did, I can definitely see why it didn't happen that way. But I think it'd be a very interesting theory to go down, and maybe that's what I'll start doing on these streams. We're talking more Star Wars theories and what ifs, because say that Padme had survived and was working for the rebellion, I think having an ex-senator of the Republic, and especially for the 20 years after Revenge of the Sith, a lot of the senators were still part of the Empire. Didn't have much choice, but they were still part of the Empire and gradually dropped off as it became more of a democracy. I mean, I think the Senate was actually dissolved quite early on, especially going off Bad Batch timelines, but there still was a Senate for so long at the start. Maybe there is a few plot holes, but having someone like Padme behind the rebellion, she basically started it. There's a deleted scene, and Jar Jar, definitely a Sith Lord. Yes, 100%. Jar Jar was the Sith Lord behind it all. He did give emergency powers to the Chancellor without the Chancellor getting... I mean, he was bullied into it, but, you know, Anakin was bullied into everything he did. So, if we're not letting Anakin get away with killing kids, arguably, if Jar Jar hadn't given Palpatine emergency powers, those younglings would be fine. They would be, you know, familyless, and yeah, the whole Jedi Order recruiting younglings in the way it did was still very, very questionable. And I know they had their reasons to like fear the Sith and everything. I don't know. I don't know if the Jedi Order should need protecting here. The Jedi Order's weird, but the Empire was just a lot worse. I mean, the Jedi Order might have abducted kids, but at least they didn't kill the kids. Miss, I think you're about to get some trouble, sir. I do like Jar Jar as a character, and I think the fact that one, because Jar Jar is a very, you know, humorous, clumsy character. In Phantom Menace, he steps off that ship on Tatooine and steps in animal poo, which is just a really great way to sum up the character, because everything seems to go wrong, and then we get in... Ooh, Revenge of the Sith? No, I think it was Attack of the Clones. When Padme's off and Jar Jar gives emergency powers to Palpatine, which he should have definitely got rid of towards the end of the war. So it was there was much else he could do after he didn't give back emergency powers. Everyone knew something was up, and I'm sure a few senators definitely thought so too, outside of like Bail Organa. But then Jar Jar in Clone Wars gets his Bombad Jedi arc. That's one of my favorite Clone Wars arcs, just because of, you take someone like Jar Jar, who's very clumsy, very, you know, he's usually the butt of the joke, and then suddenly people think he's the Jedi. Oh, that is one of my favorite art. Well, I think it's just like a solo episode almost, the Bombad Jedi. But on physics class, the lecturer mentioned the Force. So I said about the Force in Star Wars and asked if anyone liked Jar Jar as a character. The only one, I think the rest of them were all, the rest of the people in your class were all closeted Jar Jar fans. Everyone likes Jar Jar. I can't believe Ahmed Best got some of the hate he did. Jar Jar is one of the best characters. I mean, Anakin and Vader were already around in the original trilogy. You then had Padme, who was kind of mentioned, but I guess they're an original character from the prequels. Kenobi was in the original trilogy. So you had Padme, you had Jar Jar. I tell you what, Boss Nass. Boss Nass is a quality character as well. Very similar to the Gungans in general. I quite like the Gungans. I don't think Boss Nass was a Gungan, and I'm not quite sure how that works with what species Boss Nass is. But they are really, really fun characters. And just generally, Jar Jar is one of the best things to have come from those prequels. I think Padme, Jar Jar, and Boss Nass. Definitely some characters I'm missing, but realise something. Kid Wonder Stories has come with the latest theories. I feel like Jar Jar's like 3PO because they're both characters the main ones don't exactly like and treat kind of mean to. Yeah, I like that about 3PO in the sequels when he had that emotional moment looking at his friends, because even the sequel cast were bullying 3PO and being mean to him, which I guess kind of, I mean, it's better than being mean to any of the others, but still, for 3PO, yeah, Jar Jar was sort of pushed around, a bit on the chunky side. Boss Nass is very triangular as well, whereas with Bib Fortuna is a Twi'lek, but he's got the two head tails. One goes down his back and one sort of comes along the front and goes round. It looks like it's more of a neck brace, but you can kind of pair that to the regular Twi'lek head tails on either side. Boss Nass is like if you took a Gungan, put it into Lego form, transcribe that to Funko, and then put that as a Black Series figure back to Lego, and then back to in-person costume, because I just can't see the tie between Boss Nass and Gungans. I'm not quite sure what species Boss Nass is, but I'm doubtful Boss Nass is any sort of Gungan, because it just doesn't. Oh, I'll put this on backwards again. I didn't learn the first time. I don't think Boss Nass is a Gungan of sorts. Maybe he is. Maybe it's just like a Queen Bee example. That's a good point, actually. But who knows? I have no idea. We're slowly getting along with the legs here. But yeah, Jar Jar, you got 3PO. There's always that character to push around, and I guess it's good in a way that they're the butt of the joke. It does feel like bullying quite a bit, but it's better than actually taking it out on one of the characters. And I suppose being a Gungan, being a protocol droid like C3PO is, yeah, it's a bit like shouting. I've been watching, me and my partner have actually just finished Merlin from BBC. Can't wait for Doctor Who, so we're watching a ton of different BBC shows, which there are quite a few good ones. But we started watching Sherlock, and in the early episodes, Dr. Watson starts shouting at a card machine, and it is a bit like that. The card machine doesn't process thoughts. Jar Jar's a bit different. Jar Jar does have feelings, and yeah, I guess that's very different. But 3PO doesn't have feelings in the way that Jar Jar has feelings, or any of the other characters have feelings. I am missing two pieces. I didn't do a very good job at parting this set out, but for 3PO, it is fairly easy to have him be the punching bag for the other characters, because it is just like shouting at a card machine, and you're not really hurting anyone. So I guess it's not entirely a bad thing. Do you know Boss Nass might not be a Gungan because he's very triangular? Yeah, he's very un-Gungan. When you think of what a Gungan looks like and what a Gungan's represented by, Boss Nass just doesn't come to mind, and he even talks very differently to the Gungans. I think the Clone Wars series, possibly that's why. I mean, I think we're all 9 of us here are Gungan fans, and Jar Jar specifically fans. I'm sorry if you're not a Jar Jar fan, but I think we're all Jar Jar fans here. And by the sounds of it, a lot of us grew up with Clone Wars. Maybe, Jar Jar and Mace Windu team up. Yes, there was a few of them. I liked the episode as well with the. I think they might have been the first, like 91st or something like that, but I can't remember the episode where Jar Jar's with the clones and they've got the Indiana Jones. This is basically the Walker from The Last Jedi. I think it's got a bit too much on the top, but if we take that off, that's The Last Jedi Walker already done. But the Clone Wars was real good. And it's funny that the Clone Wars came out in 2008, so I'd have been 7. And I'd already been watching Star Wars for 5 years. I definitely watched the prequels by then. So I got hooked with... I liked a lot of the older shows. So I really liked Star Wars growing up. I really liked the A-Team as well, with the intro. And it was, you should call the A-Team. And it had all the bullet holes in it. That was really good. Very different to Star Wars. A-Team and Star Wars don't go hand in hand. But we had that on video, and then a few other like kids programs. There was probably something else as well that I'm forgetting. But Clone Wars is definitely the reason I'm still into Star Wars, because the Clone Wars I've probably watched as much as some of the movies. Return of the Jedi, Attack of the Clones, and The Force Awakens aside, I've probably watched Clone Wars as much as like The Last Jedi or something like that. But it is interesting to see not just like how the generations interact with their trilogies, but also how the difference in years. Because someone that grew up with the prequels, you've got people that grew up with the prequels and were a bit too old for Clone Wars. Then you've got people that grew up with the prequels and watched Clone Wars. People that just missed out the prequels but watched Clone Wars. People that caught the end of Clone Wars and Rebels. You've got all these different little subsections in there. And everyone has a different opinion and view on Star Wars, and it's honestly so good, because when you get to talking about it, everyone's got a different idea and a different view, and it just goes so well with each other. Anyway, Jar Jar episodes, I think they always hit. I guess there definitely were probably a few that didn't hit as hard as the other. And when it comes to Clone Wars, I don't think there's any empty episodes. There's arcs that could have been removed, potentially, and there's definitely like the R2D2 and 3PO when they're, I don't think it's Geonosis, I can't remember where they are, but then 3PO has this whole spiritual episode, and that's really funny, but it doesn't play a bigger part. I wouldn't call that a miss, but it wasn't a hit in terms of, second Battle of Geonosis. That was a big one, and pretty much any episode with Ahsoka in was pretty cool. But I missed. Listen to this song called "If Cantina Song Had Lyrics." That sounds like a fun time. I'm gonna jot that down for later on. Definitely listen to that after the stream. If the Cantina Song, I can definitely see that being. There's someone on YouTube which you might all be familiar with. It's like bad lip reading, something like that. I can't remember exactly, or misheard lyrics. And they make songs out of misheard Star Wars quotes. My stick is better than bacon. If you know that phrase, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's some really good songs from that as well. Whenever I play a Star Wars mix on Spotify, they always whack a few of them in. But I'll definitely have to listen to that. Did I miss any others? No. Jar Jar episodes, yes, we got that. Clone Wars was the main show I watched growing up. To be fair, Cartoon Network was really good because they had Clone Wars. I remember Thundercats as well. I really liked that. They had like a robot boy. I can't remember what that was called. They also had Adventure Time. They had I think later on that I only caught the start of Gumball, something like that. There was also another one with a bluebird and like a raccoon or something. I can't remember what that show was called. And then it had a gumball machine as well. I really like that. Cartoon Network was really good. They also had Tom and Jerry early on. They had Scooby-Doo as well. I like the Scooby-Doo movies. Lego should go back to Phase 1 clones. We need Phase 1 clone troop. Yeah, we do need Phase 1 clone troopers, to be fair. I think we're overdue Phase 1 clone troopers just because of how many Phase 2 we've got. If we look at my clone wall, most of the Phase 1s are down here, bottom left. So all of these are Phase 2s, and it goes up just a little bit past that. I'm sure you'll recognize the top half from videos. Phase 1 are just in this corner behind here. I've got a few other things stacked up, so you won't be able to see them. But we definitely need some Phase 1s. We got one in the gunship. We got the blister pack like 5 years ago. I don't want to know if it's more than 5 years old. And yeah, we are overdue. I guess Revenge of the Sith, we're probably going to get a ton of Phase 2 clones. But next year, we could definitely do with a Phase 1 battle pack, especially if it's something like a 501st Phase 1 clone, which I know the 501st were mostly just regular Phase 1 clones. Most of them were. But they could include a Captain Rex in a 501st set, not just a battle pack, perhaps a set, and we could get like a giant. I don't really know what they'd include in it. I just want Phase 1 clones. I'm with you there. Go back to Phase 1 clones. Daniel started with Season 2 of Clone Wars. The thing with watching Clone Wars is I watch Season 1 and it's like, I tend to watch the movie first, actually, and I start with the movie, and then, my fiance's just said that regular show, that's what it was called with a blue bird. Yes, I used to love that. Clone Wars, I started with a movie, and it was like, this is where it all began. That's the first movie I saw in cinema, and I'm pretty sure, I think it was a little, like, it might have been a year later or something, but I saw that in cinema. That's my first cinema memory. And then my second one is seeing Hop in cinema as well, which was just after. I don't know if it was when the movie came out or if it was like a sequel or that, but I think 2009, watching Hop, the little rabbit that poops jelly beans. That was a fun time. But Clone Wars movie, then Season 1 is like, oh yeah. Season 2's really good. Season 3's pretty good. Season 4, and then we hit Season 5. And I realised why it's been a few weeks, few months since I rewatched Clone Wars. Season 5 hits. Season 6 is recovery. Honestly, I could barely tell you what happens in season 6 just because, you know, cogs are still turning from season 5. I know what happens in season 6 of Clone Wars, but I'm still thinking of season 5. Then season 7 hits, and it's like, you know, doesn't make up for season 5. Still not a fan of Ki-Adi-Mundi, so, you know, if we get a battle pack with him in, I might have to pick that up just for the Order 66 scene. That's brutal, but yeah, season 2 of Clone Wars is a good one. Clone Wars is a comfort show. 100% agree with you, Daniel, especially during the pandemic. So in the initial lockdown, I think the initial lockdown here in London, well, not here, but where we were living at the time, was like a year, if that, where we couldn't go into uni. One of the worst times for lockdown to hit, because it meant, well, I think it finished, my second year finished as lockdown started, but basically the third, it might have been the first year. I think the second year was when I didn't go in to campus at all, which, you know, probably did affect a little bit. Still finished with a degree and all that, but wasn't the best. But Clone Wars, every couple of months, and I say every couple of months because I was still learning at this time, so it took me a while to get through Clone Wars, but I'd then repeat, and it was a big comfort show. Clone Wars was able to be experimental. We need that for the sequels, 100%. That's my take about needing it for the sequels. Don't go anyone in the chat. That's completely my own take, but I would like to see a Clone Wars for the sequels. If Cantina Song had lyrics, it is funny. I'll definitely have to check that out afterwards. Like, there could have been a depressing thing, but then Jar Jar would interrupt, get hurt or break something, would lighten it up a little bit. Anakin and Padme would be having a conversation about how something's happening and it's the end of their world, and then Jar Jar would stumble in with like 3 plates that he's balancing, something like that. And yeah, it really was. The Yoda Seagull song, yeah, Daniel knows what I'm talking about. Mortiki, Mordecai and Rigby, yes. Regular show. Seagulls, stop it now. Prefer phase 2 over phase 1, and I do think that's a popular opinion, but I do feel like every so often, maybe, I mean, I guess Lego have been giving us phase 1s every couple of years. I feel like maybe every other year is a bit better for phase 1 clones, and that's on top of the clones we're getting. The way Lego look at it, it would probably be sacrificing some phase 2 clones to get some phase 1 clones, but I'd like it on top of the clone troopers we are already getting, to get a few more, and just to get more clones in general. I would love to see some TK troopers as well. I know they're not clones, they're the enlisted stormtroopers, but there was a helmet for Ezra, and I think there was a few other like scouts and that in Rebels, and we got the piece in Lego once or twice for one minifigure, and that's the perfect piece for TK troopers. So, you know, 3D printer and Lego when I get round to my Rebels phase, because I do want to rewatch Rebels. Rebels is not a comfort show like Clone Wars is, but it is really, really fun to, you know, watch it from time to time and go back through all the characters. The Hera and Caleb Dune, or what's Caleb's name? Oh no. But Hera and Caleb's arcs in there, and especially how it builds up, that sort of the big Hera and, oh, I'm going to need some help here. Who's Caleb Dune's name? I've forgotten it. Kanan Jarrus. Yes, thank you. Threlia's Blue. For reminding me. Kanan Jarrus. That is the season 5 of Clone Wars for me in Rebels. That is not as emotional, I can't say it's anywhere near the emotion of season 5 Clone Wars, but it is Star Wars is full of emotion. You've got Empire Strikes Back, even at the end of Return of the Jedi, and to be fair, A New Hope, they started straight out the gate with the Kenobi scene, you know, becoming this mentor, and then straight away just, you know, Capuche is gone. But Star Wars definitely knows how to toy with your emotions. There are some really good scenes. First cinema movie was Happy Feet. Oh, I don't think I went to cinema for that, but I remember getting that on DVD. That's got to be one of the most used. I'm sure we still have it somewhere as well, but that's got to be one of the most used DVDs. That and the sequel as well. Season 6 has the Clovis arc. Oh, that's pretty good. I really liked actually the Mortis, not the Mortis. Well, I did like the Mortis Gods arc. and I'm excited for an Ahsoka season 2. But the Wills, that's what they were called. The Wills. I really like the Wills episode with Yoda, even if I did forget the name. But the Wills were pretty good. Forgot about that. Oops. But it'd be nice to get. I think that's kind of what Rebels was missing, because they toyed with it a little bit with the Jedi temples and Ezra, but never really got into any of it with, be it the Wills, be it the more. I guess they couldn't really do anything like the Mortis gods, because Anakin was the chosen one. Ezra's like Neville Longbottom from Harry Potter. I believe Neville shared the same birthday, or was close enough to Harry Potter to possibly be the chosen one. And you've got Neville facing up against Voldemort. It's a nice little nod to that. But I definitely think it was hard what they could do with Ezra in Rebels. Rebels has some cringe moments at times, but also some great moments too. The characters were great. Characters in Rebels, even like Lando showing up in Rebel. Hondo Ohnaka, who is at Galaxy's Edge. We'll talk about in a sec. Because Lando, first, they brought in Lando, they brought in General Dodonna, they brought in Leia, I think Mon Mothma shows up, Palpatine shows up. But already they had so many characters, so many good characters that I cannot remember the name of. But they had the one with the sideburns, Agent Kallus, I believe his name was. I can't remember the one that looked like the villain out of Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Admiral Price, I think her name is. I'm sure there will be corrections in the chat and comments if I do mess any of these up. But there were so many good characters they already had. And then they pulled in Vader, they pulled in Thrawn even. They basically reimagined Thrawn. They got me into Thrawn because off the back of that, I don't know what come first, that or the new Thrawn trilogy, the first Thrawn, the first canon Thrawn trilogy. But whichever one come first got me really into Thrawn, and then got me reading the older books as well, which are definitely really, really good. And yeah, there are some moments where, especially with Ezra, I think because, and it's probably why I relate to Ahsoka so much, even in the Ahsoka show still to date, growing up alongside Ahsoka. We've just built minifigure number 3. 1, 2, 3. And I think we've got Chewbacca in no, we might have already built Chewbacca. I'm not keeping track of this. But I think it's why I relate to Ahsoka so much, because growing up besides the character, I don't know how to explain it, but it definitely felt different to Ezra. Ezra was more like, I didn't really relate to Ezra. I like Chopper. Chopper was a funny character. I guess I related more to Kanan with some things. Nothing to do with, taking on an apprentice. I haven't got that far yet, but just with certain mindsets, I think, which is then when Ahsoka came in and was more like Kanan, it made a bit more sense. But the younger audience at the time, I'm sure they grew up with Ezra and are now really excited that Ezra's coming back into Star Wars. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to play the Ezra card, but I'm looking forward either way to how they get it done. Neville should have been the chosen one. Imagine if Voldemort's like, you can't harm me. He just lunges at Voldemort with Godric Gryffindor's sword and just impales him. Kebab. Voldemort kebab. And then there you go. It's all over. I guess Harry would probably be feeling a bit of pain, but, he rolled out Hagrid's arms anyway, so just Voldemort kebab. Now that could go on a t-shirt. Chopper is one of Daniel's favourite Star Wars characters. I think Chopper is many people's favourite Star Wars characters. And Chopper was to Rebels what I can't even say like 3PO was to the original trilogy or Jar Jar was to the prequels, because Jar Jar was a Sith Lord. Actually, Chopper is the original trilogy's Jar Jar. Jar Jar was a Sith Lord in hiding, managed to, get away with so much. Whereas Chopper is an absolute war criminal, and there's no two ways about it. The war crimes Chopper have committed, there's a reason they fight for the rebellion, and Chopper's not really keen on the New Republic and all their laws, because Chopper would be spending some time behind bars for everything he's done. A lot of time. But yeah, I guess Chopper is Ezra was basically Star Wars Aladdin. I think it is in part because of the way the character is done, and Ezra has his parents die and is living on the street. There are so many comparisons, and then the fact that Ezra and Aladdin, I think at one point the person who played Aladdin was rumored to play Ezra at some point. Not the one that everyone wanted, but was someone that was rumored. And I think everyone was just hoping for a live action Ezra, which we eventually got. We did get a live action Ezra. Hello there, Banana King. Is that a Peely profile picture? Pretty cool. We're talking about Fortnite. Why did Fortnite pop up? Oh, revealing Palpatine as well. Imagine if Fortnite just dropped a trailer at Star Wars Celebration for something. I think they did too. Hello there, Fernando Rodriguez again. Nice to see you back. Imagine if Fortnite just drops like a exclusive Star Wars Celebration trailer or something. Can they tell you to hop over to Fortnite? It is the future of releases because so many people play games. Live action Ezra was spot on still. I don't really know much about cinematography in that. I don't know how they could have done Ezra's. I don't really know what they could have done to Ezra to make that moment any better than it already was, because just the way he's been brought in, especially the time he's been brought in. You look at Luke is off training kids, and then he's going to try and kill him, which is exactly like his father. Once down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Yep, like father, like son in that aspect, I guess. But Ezra is... Maybe with Ezra, we can get that sequel trilogy, maybe like a Cousin Temple to Luke's or something. We can get that Luke Temple Legends character. They could, instead of Luke and like Luke training Leia and bringing Leia into it, Ezra can train Sabine, still basically brother and sister, which is how they were in Rebels. I don't think there'll be any like romance thing between the two of them. I think it would be a little weird because of just how brother sister their relationship was, but that could be cool. We could see an Ezra Temple, which, for all we know, Cal Kestis could join in for the third game. There's still one more game of the Jedi franchise. That could be really, really cool. I'm just tying everything. Hello there, Ace Trooper Productions. I'm just trying to tie everything Star Wars down. It's like a gazebo on a windy day or a tent on a rainy, windy day. I'm just tying it down and hoping, everything stays as it is, doesn't blow away, because right now I think it is a really good time for Star Wars. And I'm not sure entirely if it's showing in Lego sets. I think it is. I do think it is. And I know popular opinion right now, at least popular vocal opinion right now, is Star Wars in Lego sets isn't in a great place. But I would argue the opposite because of sets like the Peridea battle that we've got with the minifigures in that. Sabine, Ahsoka. Do we get no, we don't get Sabine. Ahsoka, Ezra, Thrawn, Elsbeth, and then we also get a trooper. We don't get Sabine in that set, I don't think. Good thing I have 1,000,000 from the previous sets, but we've got that one set. We've got the Tantive boarding. We've got a few mini scowls. We've got possibly the return of helmets. We've seen images. Let's hope they get to production. We've seen a ton of different styles of sets, but we're still getting so many good ones. The big problem is we're getting the big problem is it's not a problem. I like all the Star Wars content I can get, but when we're getting shows, Clone Wars was really the only show. There were a few games around that period, but Clone Wars was the only show at its time. So to get so many Clone Wars Lego sets was really easy for Lego to do. Not even any movies at that point. But for Andor, Ahsoka, Visions? Have we got any Visions Lego set? I don't think we've got any Visions Lego sets. There's so much that Lego could be making. They're drawn out thin, making one set of everything and have to pick something to make multiple sets on. And I think they chose right with the Ahsoka show because we got some really good sets from it. And there's the Star Destroyer. We could have got, rather than an Empire Strikes Back Star Destroyer, we could have got a Thrawn Chimera, which perhaps is a reskin that they're going to sell in a few years' time. That would be really, really nice to get. But I do like where Lego Star Wars is right now. There's some really good sets, really big sets, really cheap sets. There's meant to be a battle pack as well coming out later this year to go with that Battle of Peridea set. And I think that would work really, really well. They just need to build up a few more. Even with the cheaper sets, if they just sell a battle pack or something to go alongside one of the bigger sets and vice versa, maybe a cheap set's come out and then we get bigger sets to go with it. The Skiff, relatively cheap, not really cheap for what it was, but it was a relatively cheap set. And then we got the Katana UCS set to go with that, which is like the other end of the spectrum. Definitely not cheap at all. Something like that. I really like how Lego are pairing it up. And even characters that we haven't got, that Palpatine from episode 9, I don't think would get in a set. We could get Praetorians. I don't know if the Praetorians are any different in episode 9. We could get an Exegol set at some point. But even if we never get an Exegol set, Palpatine is a minifigure loads of people are going to want. So putting him in a book makes sense. Rey, we've already got. Ben Solo's wearing a black long sleeve with a hole in it. Very, very easy to make a custom of. Knights of Ren, already been put out there in other sets. And then we have those Praetorians, which might be a little different. Hey, the ship's actually looking more like an ATST. I really like the little hook mechanism that they've got on the interior to keep the side of the head on. But that's a good call from Lego, I think, having the minifigure out in a set and then releasing, you know, a few bits and bobs elsewhere. We've spoken about a load of other sets that we want throughout this stream, and that's really only Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and The Force Awakens. We haven't covered any of the other movies, which I don't know other movies. Jedi Temple, that's kind of Mandalorian as well as the other prequels and Clone Wars, and maybe High Republic. High Republic would be a nice set to get a Jedi Temple of. That way, they could give us the Jedi Temple from the prequels, maybe a bit more golden shiny, which would appeal for a Lego set, and then give us some High Republic characters as well, which we didn't get any of. No High Republic characters from Acolyte. I guess it was a standalone thing, whereas at least Andor, they can do another season. Ahsoka builds into a bigger world. This is pretty much identical to what I've just built. So I might sound like a broken record here. I don't know how many times I've said that on a video. I really, really would like Lego to start having some sort of, you will need to make a mirror image of this later on thing so I could build two at once. But would it make it any easier? Or would it just mean there's something else I have to look out for and potentially miss in the instructions? Because chances are I'd probably gloss straight over it and end up going back, rebuilding it later on anyway. But I definitely think that could be an interesting thing for instructions. Perhaps that's something that when I build any sort of mock that has a mirror image of it, I can test out and see how easy it actually makes it, or if it's just complex because you're trying to build a mirror image of something. And there's a lot more room to mess up, I guess. Maybe there's a fair reason why Lego don't. I think I'll put it to the test before I criticize it anymore, so you won't have to hear me go on about it too much. But besides that, this set, just to review the build before we get on to the next topic, which is inevitable. I'm going to get distracted midway through saying this, I'm sure, but the build is really, really nice. It's quite, I think it's probably like a 12 plus. It's fairly simple though. I'm sure even fans of Lego under 12 can build this. There's just a few little pieces and it's a bit technicky, which I think Technic in general can be quite daunting. And some clips just don't want to stay down. But Technic in general can be quite daunting if you've not built with it before, because it looks a lot more mechanical than it actually is. It's fairly straightforward to just I mean, Technic's very Lego still. It's not too much different, but it can it's a different system than Lego. I think that's the scary part for some people. I'm used to building Technic models myself, so it's not easy, but it's a lot more straightforward, and I see it the same as Lego, but it's new. I think when people go from very basic brick built structures and even some basic structures, we're looking at the Luke Skywalker Red 5 X-Wing we got a few years back. The back of that is pure Technic, which not everyone was pleased about because it's not the same as Lego. Obviously, we got a Lego one before it. The UCS one was Lego with Technic supports, and then we got the pure Lego version not too long after it. But I think I'm missing another piece here. I still haven't come across the other piece. Thankfully, they're just behind me, and I can turn around and, you know what, grab the whole drawer, because I have been sorting out quite a few of my pieces. They're not sorted. I haven't been putting that much effort into them. But I've got some smaller compartments in here as well for things like 1x1 plates, and the 1x1 round plates, square plates, 1x1 translucent plates all have their own tub, and I just pile them up, stack them in. It's so much easier than going to a tub and rummaging around for the odd piece. So I definitely recommend giving that a shot if you're looking for sorting advice. But some builds are it's a straightforward build, but it's a lot of little pieces. It's a proper model kit basically, and I think that sums it up pretty well. And there's a few little bits that I tried to get ahead with because I feel like I know where this is going. I'll put a few extra pieces down, and like then I've forgotten to partially build it before I've added it to the set, but it is a really easy build. If I'm not having any problems and I'm not forgetting a piece every 5 steps, I think that just goes to show how easy the build is. And that's a reason actually why I'm building anything live on the channel, because reviewing the set, I don't think set reviews actually review the set. They do. I'm not gonna shun on people that review, because, you know, it is a big part of Lego Star Wars, especially as a community here on YouTube. But a review, a proper review, I feel like should delve into the different parts of building, not necessarily build it live on stream like I'm doing. That does take quite a bit of energy, that especially preparing it, and it's a lot for someone just to do every so often. But I'm trying not to play up what I do too much there. But the build is the big Lego experience. Everyone buys Lego sets for the build as well as how good they look. I can't say everyone buys it, but a lot of people do, unless you're buying a UCS set. But even with a UCS set, you're choosing Lego over a model kit for the build and the little fun play features in it as well. Whereas for something non-Lego, I guess it's more about the way it looks, and you're just going to knuckle down through it. So hopefully by showing this off on stream, I'm giving you a pretty good idea. I guess we're not going too deep into it, but you're getting a good idea just how straightforward it is to build. Again, these parts should be sorted into 4 different bags, but we're on bag 4 now. That doesn't matter. Me struggling to find these pieces, it would have happened if we opened this fresh from the bag. So it does give a good idea. I think I found the 1x1 slope I was missing earlier. From the start I saw this, it's a very light greenish blue 1x1 tile, and it kind of comes across, I guess it's the blue background, but comparing it to light bluish grey, oh, it's very greeny blue on screen for me. So hopefully that's coming across for you, but it's not light bluish grey, and I think I picked this up. I must have not looked at it properly. It's not exactly dark, so I must have just not looked at it properly and picked that up thinking it was a grey piece. I hope I don't need to go back and fetch that piece for a bit later on in the build. But I think the experience of building Lego is definitely a big part. It plays a big role. And being able to build new sets, like I said, I think I've said this a few times now. Next week, we'll be building the Acclimator. I've got to make sure I get that set up for next week. And not all sets are going to be like this, where it's parted out. Most of the sets will hopefully be new from the box, which really does now home the building experience. But the next time we work on something that I've already built and have parted out previously, I will try to get the bag split out into how they will be, just to show from the box how that building experience is. Because honestly, for me as a Lego fan, that is really where the fun is, not just from the box, but the building of a Lego set and the different techniques and little bits. The Snub Fighter, I have rebuilt that so many times, and I think I had 3 mocks, and then I did something else with the Snub Fighter, which is just up there next to the Onyx Cinder, because it's a really, really fun build. And every time I broke it down, I would then be rebuilding it. I break it down for another mock. And even between some of these, I think 2 of these mocks were published in the same week. And even then, I still rebuilt it into a regular Snub Fighter in between the 2, because it was just so fun to build. And there are so many different hidden details and little bits hidden throughout that set. Honestly, sets like that are really, really fun to just keep building. Even this set, it's an ATST, there's not too much to it, but it's been really, really fun. And little bits like this little control, I have used this. I don't think the ATST was the first set that I got that was like this, but putting a control on a bracket and then clipping that to the top of the ATST. I've done the exact same thing. Hopefully I haven't broken it down too much. Okay, 2 of them have broken, but on this AAT custom minifigure scale build that I've got, that I have decided I'm not going to make instructions for this, because it does use the top of the actual Lego set. But if you do want to build this yourself, definitely have the video on, have a little look at all the different techniques I show off. But the control here is attached to a bracket that I've then clipped up onto this plate, which closes down in front and then puts it in front of the droid to use. So that's one little technique that I've kind of robbed from Lego Star Wars, and just building my mock arsenal by taking these little bits from all these different sets. And you could definitely mismatch a few of these together and basically have your own mock straight like that. But there are some really, really fun things you can pick up just from building old sets. Even the home one, the interior, not the new one, but the old like 2013 one, which is fairly old. It's not the oldest Lego set, but it is kind of getting old. Nice little grenade launcher there for the ATST. There we go. Remember that from the Jedi games. That was annoying, but little bits you can pick up from here and there are really useful to put forward. And speaking of the Jedi games, I've actually displayed my pirate skiff like this. This so looks like the Mantis. I cannot unsee it. I think it's mainly to do with a big wing at the back, because not much of the rest resembles the Mantis, but that would go really well with this ATST. Can't forget about that as well. Put that back at the end of the stream. But as we approach the end of this, I think the big improvement for this ATST, which again is why we're rebuilding this, is the legs. The fact that the legs bend, that's cool and all. But if you bend the legs, like the torso just looks up, and then you can kind of make it look up. Oh, again, this is not meant to fall off, but maybe that's more so to do with the clip as opposed to the piece being clipped in. It feels like a sturdy connection. Like, there's no reason the ATST would be looking that far up. It works, it stands. If you tap it a little bit, it's going to go, but it does work. And then you can be looking, oh wow, that's the furthest down it goes. So it kind of looks down. That feels accurate to the game. And then you just have like rockets fired at you. But really, I'm not sure. It definitely was made to match the AT-AT at the time. You could have it look like it's walking if you could like raise the leg on a, does it work on a, nope. I think that's going to send it backwards. So I'm not quite sure why they've got the joint in there. And they show it off as a play feature in the actual instructions, looking around for the physical things. I don't have them anymore. I wish I did keep them because I definitely didn't scan the QR code. This was a bit before then, but it definitely would have been a QR code on the front of them. But the legs need some sort of fixing up compared to modern. I still think if it came out today, it probably wouldn't be too much different from how it is now. I can wish that it would be, but I don't think it would be. It'd probably be very similar to how it is, but that's what wishing is for, I guess. It's, I don't know the angle Lego took when releasing this. I guess you can definitely, play with it like this and have it walking along. That's actually really fun. That is really fun. But all they needed to do was at the bottom here where you've got the joint going in, add another one of these hinges. I don't want to give away too much of what I'm going to do in the video, but it's basically going to be that, at least at the minute. And the interior of this, I hope the mic ain't picking up too much of this. The interior of this is also very, very small for how much room there should be. So I might modify some of that just to get another trooper in. Actually, oh, I've got it standing on another Lego plate. That's why I thought we weren't going to stand up then. But, oh no, I've lost it. I've lost the piece. There it is. But, yeah, it's a fun build. It's decent at play. Definitely a few improvements to make, but that is exactly why I am here and what I'm going to be doing on Monday for hopefully Monday's video. Might be Tuesday's video. I think I've missed something out here, and I feel like this 1x1 with a bar should go in. That's the only problem with me talking. I get so easily sidetracked. I still haven't forgotten about the Cantina song with words. I'm looking forward to hearing that afterwards. But again, let's not wish this away too soon. We've still got the top of the ATST2 build. I think we've covered everything. I did have a little list of things I wanted to cover. I feel like we've covered enough for me to leave a few things for next week. The big thing with Andor Season 2, with the episodes across the 4 years, Clone Wars style, really excited for that. The first episode comes out the 22nd of April. I tried to memorize that for like 5 minutes before this stream started. I was staring at that time, and I hope I've got that correct. 22nd of April is when the first episode is, and then the second episode will be the 29th, which is the second day of Star Wars Celebration. I didn't check that date, so that might be a little wrong, but it is something like that. And hopefully, yes, Star Wars Celebration will do the double episode. That'll be interesting to see reactions to it, because we might get a look at that before the episode actually comes out for us. So that'd be really interesting to see people's reactions. They might do it the night before. I'm not going to see that until afterwards. Actually, would I? Because I've noticed that, so the times for Star Wars Celebration this year have gone out. Oh, no, that's not right. And it's occurring here in the UK midnight until 9 in the morning, the first 2 days, and then it's midnight until 7 in the morning. So by the time we get around to streaming, I do hope to stream every single day to cover some of that, just in a chill environment, a bit like this, just talking, not really try and jam it into a 10-minute video, though I'll probably have watched a few 10-minute videos by then, so I don't miss out on anything, because there's a million panels at Star Wars Celebration. But we'll just be talking over those, building Lego, maybe playing some games, because that would definitely be really fun. Some Lego games, some non-Lego games, Star Wars games for Star Wars Celebration, and probably a similar thing around May 4th. I feel like that's going to be the big weekend. That's the weekend before May 4th. Any Star Wars deals will be out and probably already running at that point, if it's anything like the last couple of years. And I think actually March is when a lot of the Star Wars May 4th deals start, because they know they can get a few people early with the smaller deals, like me with Attentive, and then reduce it by an extra like 5 or 10 for May. And most people have already picked it up, which I always fall for. I don't think I'm going to ever not fall for that. I just like Lego deals, and if it's a good enough price, when it comes to Lego deals, if it's a good enough price that I think it's worth that money, like the Onyx Cinder, £80 isn't cheap, but it's a third off the Onyx Cinder, which is the only Skeleton Crew set, comes with a bunch of exclusive minifigures, probably not going to get anything like it, and there's also a pretty good parts pack. Well, expensive parts pack, that is 2 pieces, isn't it? Yep, nope, yep, yeah. I don't think Lego have made a 1x3 by 2/3 just yet. We're just out on that, but maybe in a few years' time. Who knows at the rate Lego pieces are being released. But it is a really, really good pack, the Onyx Cinder, for a bunch of different elements. A bit like the Razor Crest. You wouldn't buy it specifically for a mock, but a few of the pieces, Jedi Bob's Delta actually has so many different pieces that I don't have. And there's so many different, usually it's like Ninjago and Minecraft sets that I've looked at and thought, oh, that'd be pretty cool, but do I need it? And then down the line, it's used in a Star Wars set, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't pick up that set. Usually it is like a odd piece from a Minecraft set, and it's not even used to its full extent in the Minecraft set. It's just in there because they had the piece to use. And yeah, usually they add it then as a very important piece to a Star Wars set. But, you know, that's where the 3D printer comes in handy. Now that I'm honing in my craft for customs and the like, I'll probably be able to use it a bit more for printing these pieces I don't own. So keep an eye out for that in the near future. And with that, we've got a few pieces spare. Do we need these spare pieces? I'm a bit hesitant. I know we haven't fully finished. It looks fully finished, I'm going to be honest. Hopefully it doesn't collapse. We've got quite a few. So a few of these are weapons. We can put the weapons aside. We've then got this 2x2. Let me have a little look, check that, because last time we did have a few extra pieces. So did we need 2 of these? We do need 2 of these, and I've only used 1. Somehow we always manage. Something that was really good about this ATST, actually, I remember doing a whole building spree because one of my mates picked up the AT-AT, which by the looks come out around the same time. We got the AT-AT, we got the ATST, we also got the, this must have been for 40 Years of Empire Strikes Back, we got the Snowtrooper Battle Pack, which also came out around the time of the UCS AT-AT. We got the Tauntaun and AT-AT Micro Build Battle Pack, and we also got Mando's Razor Crest Microfighter, which, yeah, it was all right. I'm not quite sure what to think about that, really. It was a decent microfighter. Didn't relate to Empire Strikes Back whatsoever. I really don't know where this but I'm wondering if I've missed something on the torso. But we've got a 2x2 element, we've got a 2x2 underside curve, we've got a 1x1 with a hole in the middle. I can't remember the piece that I replaced earlier on in the stream as well. I didn't find any extra of that. And we've also got a 3-bar and a 4-bar, which is going to be fun to find the replacement of, but I think I'm going to do that at some other point. Oh, I might have, no, that's in, oh, that's where the little bar, okay. We found one of the pieces, it goes just in there. I thought that looked a bit different. As for the others, I don't think we're going to find them. They're going to be some, oh, this pieces, yeah, the weapons aren't very securely attached on, and that's because I've forgotten one stud. But I think that's probably going to be all for today. So I'm going to start wrapping up as I'm polishing up on this build. This is the ATST, very, very satisfying. Look at that. That leg action on the build. This is hours worth of fun, just like running across the desk here. That's terrifying. That thing just charged, especially because it's a Lego build, just charging at you. I think any sort of Lego build charging at you from a distance would be absolutely terrifying. I'm going to sit here actually and puzzle through where I've missed these pieces, but that is all for today. There was 2 other builds, so they might carry on. I might do bonus streams from time to time. Bonus stream sounds like a good idea, dependent when you are all active. I know the weekend's usually the better time. Some people like to go out and enjoy their weekend. We sit here, build Lego, but thank you so much for joining me on building this ATST. Almost 100 people throughout, which is really nice to be seeing the engagement on these streams. It's just pushing me to do more and more. And like I said, we've got not only March 15th, which I will be streaming, but that massive April weekend with Star Wars Celebration. I honestly cannot wait. Don't think I'll be able to sleep tonight. That's terrifying, this thing charging it. Yeah, don't worry. This will be hidden somewhere in the display. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this stream. Stick around for tomorrow's video. Already recorded a ton of different builds in that one as well as a ton more builds throughout this week. I'm really in my building zone at the end of January, as well as sneak peek, we will be building our predictions for this year's advent calendar. The leaks come out in February. By the time we meet again next week, we might already have the advent calendar leaked. That's crazy. Feels like a year away. It's getting ever closer. But thank you so much for watching this stream, and may the bricks be with you always. See you next week.